Always punctual, aren't I? Always punctual. Disclaimer, I overslept. So, gonna make sure that the stream is catching up and we can get ourselves started. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, to another show. This is not Wristshot Week. Why is it taking so long for it to load? Hold on, there we go, we're in. Nice. Welcome, everyone. Let's start by greeting all of you in the chat. I've got Paul, James, welcome James, Gary, Kukuru, Raymond, Clive, Perez, Curtis, Bjornar, Eric, Junior Johnson, and many more of you. I see Lester. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Can you all hear me? Please confirm with 1 or whatever number you like. That seems to be our go-to. And to start the show, I'll just pull up something worth looking at while I get my bearings. It's been a hell of a week, gotta say. Awesome, you can hear me? Sweet, great. Welcome, everyone. So Clive says it takes longer to load the older you get. Yeah, gotta say. So it's gonna take a little while. I did oversleep. I woke up about 15 minutes ago, so the coffee is here. Just checking. Fisherman's Friend. Got a small tot of whiskey and water. 10 to 4. Thank you, everyone. Okay, good. You can hear me. Thank you, Logan, and everyone. Blue shirts. I can't keep up with the chats. Thank you all for being here. So this is not Wristshot Week again, and you have to ask yourself, what kind of idiot decides to review another series of auction catalogs? This idiot. The plan is to look at Watches of Knightsbridge, which is our old favorite. I mean, I started looking at their stuff, what, over a year ago, and it's pretty cool. I thought the idea loud and clear. Thank you, Canal. If you want to get my attention, tag me in the chat, and I hope to see it a bit easier. Right, so what did I want to do with this? So I brought this up just to... Again, I'm waking up here. Brought this up just to highlight that I'm doing a three watch review element next week. I'm still working through the audio, and it's like 20 minutes long and still isn't finished. So it's going to be a long one, a long haul. I've been able to experience these watches for over a month each, I would say. And I thought to start with the audience engagement, how about we put it to a vote? If you had to choose one for the rest of your life, from left to right, 1, 2, or 3, which would you go for? And my pick is going to be this. Don't be too obvious, ladies and gents. I'm sure most of you are going to pick 3, but just put yourselves in the shoes of it being your one watch, as is, forever. Which would you go for? And oh god, we've got a lot of 2s, as you would expect. And I see a comment by Sam Ray saying got green tea and Bloody Mary. Well done, sir. Yeah, I'm hitting a drop, not even a thimbleful of Glenlivet to get me up and going. I see a couple of 2s, a couple of 3s. That's good. Okay, a couple of more 3s. Okay, so it's nicely balanced actually. 4 I decline. Okay, well that's a decent choice. Yeah, and I see Thomas Burnett joining us and so many others, Jeb and Clive and Cedar Canoe, and I just can't keep up. 3 provided, 39 millimeters. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of debate around it. It's been an awesome experience. I got to say, each one of these watches has its own unique traits. I think if I had to sum up the video in a couple of seconds for 5x5, Curtis, great. If I had to sum up the 3 watches, my experience at least, the proportions of the Black Bay 58, I love. The aesthetics of the Omega, I love. The build quality of the Explorer, I love. If I could pair all these 3 elements together into one watch, we'd be settled. But sadly, can't always get what you want, right? Rolling Stones. So, what do we do now? I've been wearing the Explorer over the last few days, and today, I'm really liking it, actually. You know, it's one of these pieces. I can't wait to do the final, end of show, end of experience video, where it's like the nail in the coffin. How do I feel about it today? I'm really enjoying it. On other days, I can't stand the sight of it. So it's just how it goes, I guess. Okay, so let's pull this up. Watches of Knightsbridge. So it's just bear in mind, after last week's show, I will link it in the corner of the screen for those of you who might have missed it. It was about the Phillips auction. And you notice my favorite buzzword is mentioned right here at the base, rare. So the reason why we're doing this is because the Phillips auction is a little bit out of our ballpark in lots of areas. The watches are seriously overpriced for what they are in some cases. A lot of them are unobtainable. In this selection, we get to see quite a lot more diversity and variety. So I wouldn't say variety. I mean, I should say the pieces are more attainable for most of us to look at. So that's the bonus. Any one of us here could probably afford the watches that are going to be going up on show. So the actual auction date is on the 5th of December, 2020. So we are a little bit ahead of schedule, which is a nice change. And notice to bidders, hold on, Magic Mouse, darling, work with me here. Every sale will be subject of a buyer's premium of 25%, including VAT, okay? So on top of that, an additional 4% VAT, 4.8%. So it's a lot. These premiums, you got to look at the fine print. 25% included on the sale, as well as between 4.8 and 6% VAT on the final purchase. So yeah, it's quite a mouthful. Talking about 30% on top of the sale. All right, let me just start with what's this? It's a pocket watch by AP, and honestly, compared to the watches, compared to the Philips auction catalog that we normally look at, this is like a walk, not even a walk in the park. This is a bicycle ride through a park, because all of the imagery is here for us, and it's just fun to talk over. Okay, there's so many comments. God, sorry about this, everyone. I just got my watch toolkit from Amazon today. Modding time. Samurai, enjoy. Raymond saying Seamaster 357. I still love it. Is the show going to be 300 watches this time? No, it's not, Samurai. There are about 120, I think, somewhere around there. When will I be finished on the Explorer 1 review? Louis asks. Well, I've done 2 of them already, actually. They're on the channel somewhere. Maybe I'll link them in the corner now that you've reminded me. And the final video will be done in about 2 weeks, I would say. And James, 4-hour marathon. I don't think so. This might be about 2.5, actually. You can hear that the coffee is hitting my brain, that sudden spark. I'm feeling a bit more energized. Right, and the rest of you who are joining again, thank you all for being here. Thank you for being a part of the show. It's going to be a bit of a hang time. We can just sit back and relax, enjoy ourselves. So, yeah, what are your opinions on the pocket watch from AP? At least I believe it says Dunhill. Hold on a sec. Dunhill Unique Watch Lighter. Okay, sorry, it looked like a lighter. So this is a lighter with a watch face inside it. I think Flip and Zippo would probably enjoy this a lot. I do also want to say, as a preface before the show really gets going, is that you must view these shows at your own peril. It can be a hazard to your health, as James would probably attest, because Megan, his daughter, had a bit of an issue the next day on the Sunday, appendicitis. So she's probably out of action this evening. I hope she is on the mend and doing very well. But it just goes to show that a 4-hour marathon via Philips, I think it was my mentioning of rare and attractive hundreds of times. It probably did it in the end. But there has to be a correlation. The jury is still out on whether or not it's the case. But Megan had a bit of a situation on Sunday, and she's been recovering this week. So really hope she's doing well. I think everyone in the chat should wish her well. And James is going to be with us here. Had a protein shake to keep going. James, it's good to know. God. I've worked out 6 times this week. That's 18 protein shakes. I think I need to cool it a bit. So are we going to be looking at ladies 18 karat gold Cartiers? I don't know so much. We can probably flick through these pocket watches. I don't know much of us who are very interested in them, really. This is quite nice. This is my favorite word. We're going to see this word often. I wish this word was made redundant, actually. This rare word. You're going to see it attached to a lot of things. A rare gentleman's 18 karat gold Cartier London tank ultra thin. I mean, this is a cool watch. Very cool. I'd say it's from the 70s, I think, if I read that right. Just got to get my magic mouse hand sorted out, and hope I'm reading everything correctly. Yeah, exactly, Mark. So, sorry, I'm missing all of you again in the chat, Meeson, and everyone's chatting amongst themselves. It's good. Come for the watches, stay for the community comments. That's the joy here. So these Cartiers, I mean, there's been talk about how they are coming back into popularity, and I think they are. Really think they are. Just as talking about a design classic, many believe that they just are some of the most timeless pieces out there. Next to the Reverso, which one stands the test of time longer, would you say? And I think this one, with its styling, I think what they've done with the Romans has just made it such a captivating piece. And you look at the evolution of it to the American, to the Roadsters, and to the, what else? The Santoses, and they all have the same aesthetics that just make them sing. Italicized Romans, this with a cabochon on the crown. Yeah, and I'm missing you all here. Flippin', thank you for the super chat. Thoughts and prayers for your old friend and his... Who's the old friend? Flippin' Zipper? Oh, no. Oh, geez. This is all I need to hear now. More copy and paste description. Samurai, you got no idea. Thank you so much for the super chat, Flippin' Zipper. Really look forward to our show tomorrow. If I'm still alive, if I'm still conscious. Yeah, so Cartier tank, got to enjoy them. They're cool. And then we move on to other pieces in and around this. We got the Fabergé Tourneau. This looks like a date variant with a moon phase. Look at the prices. Just keep an eye on the prices if you can. Hope the quality is good enough that you can see them okay. But they're all ranging in the 2,000, 3,000 pound mark. And that is not excessive. I don't know how often they say rare here, but whenever you see rare in the description, add another 10 grand on top of it, you know. Forbin mentioning, funny how crowns can have cabochons, but how about the actual little royal crown on a crown? Little royal crown on a crown. Oh, as in, sorry. Again, I'm waking up here. I can barely understand that, Forbin. It has to. You have to keep the English simple in the beginning for me, at least for the first 45 minutes, and then we can start like getting into it. Oh, it's terrible. Why did I oversleep? It's been a hell of a week, I gotta say. On top of designing merchandise, wouldn't you believe? Still this week. So work out, what, 6 times this week, 18 protein shakes, maybe multiply that number by 2 or 3, and that's the amount of hours I've spent behind the screen editing something or working on videos and trying to keep everything balanced. My eyes, my whole body, I can barely lift myself off the chair. So yeah, just bear with me. The reason why we're doing this again, for those of you who are just joining us, is because next to the Philips auction that is very overblown a lot of the time with some of the pieces that we see, these are all, okay, some are a little bit out of our price brackets, but these are all relatively interesting and affordable watches in the scheme of things, next to the highly super rare collectible, you know, Cartier tank. Funny, doesn't look military. Yeah, Foreman, the story goes it's inspired by the Renault T something or other tank back in the day in the First World War, French tank. And from a top view, I did a video about it, I think. From a top view, you can see that the tracks mirror how the Renault tank looked. That was it. Paul saying, good lad. Yeah. ID Christmas mugs for everyone, Paul. Yeah, that's one of the things I'm actually working on at the moment. Megan is joining us. Good grief. Megan, you are a machine. I don't know how you do it. Thank you for joining us, Megan. I really hope you're not moving at all. Lie in a good position. We don't want appendicitis to flare up again, you know. Flip and zipper. All the working out, getting strong. I can give you a job in the field. You know what? It's really good. It's been such a nice way to get my mind off whatever's been going on in the world, and it's such a good distraction. I'm loving it. I haven't told many people, but my wrist size has gone up 1/2 inch because of the workouts. It's been so good. So I've been spending most of my time resizing bracelets, and it's a pleasure. Right, so let's move away. Platinum Tonneau Cintre. That's awesome. Really love. I love the case styling of this piece, even though it's not for everyone. I think the tonneau case with these old school lugs and the cabochon is just very attractive. Oblong, beautifully shaped. And more Cartiers. Now we got ladies' pieces. This is quite elegant for what it is, even though it's diamond set. Keep your eyes on the prices. Don't worry, we will definitely move through these pieces slowly. Megan has to support me. No, you don't. Not this time. You definitely do not. Mr. C, $1. Always appreciated, Mr. C. Thank you for joining us. And everyone, again, please tag me in the chat. Mason asking, are there other brands? Yes, don't worry. We're going to see APs and Pateks and lots of Rolexes at the end and Tudors and some unique stuff like Breitling chronographs from back in the day and Top Times and all those cool pieces. Stuff that is disregarded in a lot of these. Oh, this was my favorite. Block your ears, ladies and gents. A fine and very rare. Let's leave that on the screen for a moment. Pink sapphire. Now, I reckon to speed up the process, you might want to comment yes, no, next, like we did during the Philips show. But don't worry, we will motor through these for sure. But I think this is just exceptional. Any takers here? Ladies, gentlemen. Oi, fine and very rare. I hope to not read that too many times. Looks like amethyst. Yeah, it does. As they say in the description here, pink sapphire, Cartier, bague noire, bracelets. 2005. They expected to go between 15 and 20,000. Good luck. Good luck. It's nice, but it's definitely not our cup of tea. Right. Moving on to more Cartiers. Good God. So diamond Pashas. We got two-tone Pashas. I find these such peculiar models. I don't know the story behind the Pasha and what it's about exactly. The screw-down crown. I guess this was a way of adapting this technology back then. But yeah, the aesthetic, definitely divisive. It doesn't really scream Cartier to you at first, you know? Give me light purple any day, Flippin' Zipper says. Again, tag me in the chat. I'll be able to see it a lot easier. And Raymond's saying Cartier did not make watches like they did years ago. No, it's quite, and they were using Le Coutre movements and everything back then, I think, if my memory is right. Right, I got to hit more coffee. I've got to wake up again. I only woke up about 20 minutes ago. Right on. Solid gold Cartier Panther. I do like this. This is pretty nice aesthetic. Okay, lots of, it's almost like every time we run these, there's always a lot of Cartiers to start the shows off. It's almost like alphabetical order, I think. Rocky Billy Boy, Mr. C, $1. Yeah, Mr. C is always an appreciated member here. He's great. And we're going to do another wrist shot week, I think, very soon. Maybe next weekend, if I'm alive. Yeah, it's debatable. Right, so now we get to AP and a peculiar series. These are both quartzes, I think. 33 mils, 1990s, 1980s. The 33 mil AP is actually pretty stunning, gotta say. Tried on a solid gold 33 mil a couple of weeks back, and hell, it's a cool watch. I wouldn't say it fits everyone's wrist. It definitely, even on my girly wrists, it feels undersized, but there's something about the allure of a dress watch that is low in profile, that's slim, and so comfortable. Again, you're dealing with an AP bracelet, and even back then, the one I was wearing was from the 80s, I think. Solid gold, even the dial was gold, I think. And hell, it feels so good. This model was untouched, completely brand spanking new. What do you think about the square cases, though? I don't understand when this happened, how this developed. Again, there are better AP nutters out there. Actually, I'll comment. Hold on a sec. Watch Brothers London. If you're on Instagram, follow Watch Brothers London, and you will learn a lot more about AP references. That he's studied up about these a lot. He's a great guy. Okay, let's motor through next. I must say, quartz in the AP line is very underrated. And here we go. We've got now, would you believe, on one side we have an AP, on the left, on the right we have a Roman Jerome, Skylab, Speed Metal DNA, rubber straps, and I mean, this you just don't believe is AP today. So it's funny to see. What is this? 2015. This is a recent model on the left-hand side, wouldn't you believe? So that's something. And all of you guys, I'm missing you in the chat. Sorry about that. Everyone's just saying hi. It's all good. Itamai Pasha, Forbin, fantastic. That was very good. Dated, yes, Raymond. Best AP I've ever seen, Kukuru says. Thomas, have I said hi to you? Welcome, Thomas. Good to have you here, sir. And the rest of you, if you are in the UK, you must be dealing with the rain like I am. Oh, it was terrible. 6 o'clock, I was drowning. I had to freestyle my way home. Right, so this is definitely, I mean, look at it. What were they doing here? So the tachymeter is oblong and it stretches out. That's quite a nice aesthetic, but it's definitely not for everyone, you know. Rounded elements, all just distorted. This looks like someone took it into Photoshop and used the liquify filter and just went to town. I mean, look at that subdial there, the 30, the 20, the 10. It's not a watch for everyone. Does it beat the code 1159? Up to you. Oops, Magic Mouse. Hold on. Getting myself woken up here. Carry on down. So the Roman Jerome, is it a watch for everyone? No. I do like the skeletonizing. That's pretty appealing. Is it a clear case back? No idea. But isn't this the brand that uses all kinds of crazy materials like Titanic components and stuff like that? I don't know. Right, let's carry on through. Iwc not done. I mean, and Frank Mueller. Will this sell? I have to ask. In pink. Very, very difficult to judge there. But this Iwc not done. This looks like a caliber 11 with the crown on the other side. Definitely not for everyone. These pieces are outliers, I would say, in many ways. So yeah, let's carry on through to something that's more recognizable. And here we go. So Breitling Navi timer, gold-plated. What? 1966, they gold-plated Navi timers? Did you know that? Sorry about this, Magic Mouse. Bear with me, everyone. We've been running the show for 20 minutes. And yeah, my left hand is definitely not awake yet. So Sam Ray says, love them both. Are we talking about Navi timers? Or are we talking about the last pieces that we just saw? The Frank Mueller, yeah, it's a bit peculiar. You do like some of the Roman Jerome? Okay, many of you here, I'm sorry, guys. I'm missing you all again and again. Probably going to be the case through the show. So this is a 806. I mean, they've just done a reissue of this, 1966. Look at the price of this watch is starting at between 2,500 and 3,500. Not bad, you know, really not bad. And soon we'll be getting to the more full screen images. You'll notice that the highlight pieces of the shows will be captured in full resolution, so we can enjoy them a lot more. This is a watch that deserves to be covered in a lot more detail, because it is, I mean, 806 is very popular. And the version next to it, gold plated, I can't believe that was a thing. The Navi timer is definitely a love it or hate it. Who uses a slide rule nowadays when adjusting calculations and everything else? No idea. But you know, it's a feature. It's an aesthetic. It is a very charming piece, though. Overall, the way the dial has been done, the hands, very clean. And then we move to the later references. We move out of the 60s to the 70s, and we start seeing the orange hand start to appear. 1972, big subs. Again, me and my vintage pieces, I'm not the best, but it's good to look at the variety, and it's going to keep going. I think after this, we're going to see some more full-scale Breitlings that we'll probably enjoy. 1972, big subs on the left-hand side, between $2,000 and $3,000. I mean, not bad, you know, considering what we saw last week with the rare, and I don't know how many times there's been a rare and collectible. Haven't seen much, so no copy and pasting, really. Mason asking the question, have you seen this year's Code 1159s? They released? Yes, they did. So not only the dials, but they use two-toning and other effects on the cases to get them a bit more lively. Deep discount for a good deal. I mean, if you're looking for watchmaking, and you know, there's so much about the watch that looks great. Got to say, the rain, I nicknamed it the golden rain on the dials, because it has these like ripple raindrop effects. I love this. We're going to talk about this in a moment. But the way they've done it with some models with the two-tone and watchmaking, and they try to do something else. Just unfortunately, their dials at the beginning with the quarters, they looked like a Hugo Boss watch and not something very... you can understand what they're trying to do, trying to be modern, trying to be retro with their aesthetic, but it didn't really stick as well as they wanted it to. So it's a bit of a pain. Right. Curtis, I have said hi to you. Welcome, Curtis. Hope you're doing well. Classic Breitlings, the backbone of the brand. I agree. Breitlings are loved. Those prices, especially after the 2 GPHG. They won some awards this year. I did not read through the list. I did see, so good to see Moser winning awards for the Streamliner. Right, so look at this. I'm guessing this is like 1970. Okay. Between $4,000 and $5,000. A rare, oh God, here we go now. A rare gentleman stainless steel Breitling GMT Chronomatic chronograph. Okay. I love these colors. As much as the 70s was a time of, you know, what were you smoking, there were also times of just appreciating how these colors were used so well. And here we have a root beer inset bezel, which looks very charming. I don't know if it can be rotated. Maybe it can. But just the highlights, you know, the orange accents, very typical, the yellow spots, the reverse panda aesthetic. It's a bit much, but it is also just, I also think the case size, the way the case has been done, also very unique. Definitely not for everyone. If Orange Hand is watching, he will probably love this. Dean saying better name, the Golden Shower. Yeah, what did I say? Golden Rain. Don't think that's the best name you could give the pieces, right? Okay, moving on next. Check this out. This is called a rare, has to be, PVD coated chronomatic 1970s, brushed gold colored dial, gold cap, crown pushes, between $2,500 and $3,000 they expect this to go for. Another really interesting, unique watch that we don't see, and we didn't see at all in the Philips auction in Geneva. I noticed that they're doing a Hong Kong auction, something like mid-December. And in that auction, you have much more obscure pieces. It's funny how they tailor the watches up for show relative to the environment. So Hong Kong, they seem a lot more open-ended with their submissions, where the Geneva show was very focused on specific models. So, yeah, again, the reason why these shows are good, especially Watches of Knightsbridge, is that it's accessible. We get to enjoy a lot more variety for our time. Let's see, another 1970s, between 4 and 5, this being a bullhead chrono. And I love this. The bullhead aesthetic is something that is just, it's not favored much anymore. Some watchmakers are starting to bring it back. The Moser Streamliner, for example, and a few others. That whole complication is just, and the idea of having a crown at the 6 o'clock position is also just charming. It's practical. I don't know if it's automatic. I would imagine it's probably a manual wind. Stainless steel, probably a manual wind piece, maybe. The idea of having it just looks correct. It doesn't look like it's going to get in your way. It feels more like a chronograph for what it is, what it represents. The industrial designer's approach, I would imagine, would be something along the lines of this, where you're getting this level of practicality into how you arrange a watch. Is it the most easiest watch to operate while on the wrist? I would say so. It's very good for either the left or the right hand, which is something else to consider. I wear my watches on my right wrist, so having the chronograph pushes, in the center makes it a bit more practical for my taste, and it doesn't hang up on your wrist. And I dig it. I think it's a really nice approach. Again, we have the Siggy styled hands with the orange accents and the blue highlights. Yeah, tropical blue, very aquamarine, pulsation dial, unique. I mean, we don't see these pieces. Please don't tell me they called this rare as well. I mean, no, they didn't. Okay, that's good. That's good. At least someone there is able to rename their descriptions a bit better. But I love it. It's not for everyone. Again, these pieces are probably the most polarizing in this selection, really, when we're looking at just how they're arranged. It's very cluttered. Got to admit, it's a very cluttered looking dial. But the case styling, also, you can just see it's right out of the 70s. The case, the pushes, I really do like it. Definitely a divisive one, but Seiko looking, Raymond says, yes. Edmonton Oilers. Hold on, this is the colors they use, right? Not rare, Samurai. Keep that hashtag going. I love that. Okay, moving. Oh, here we go. Okay, so this is a 765 from 1966, expected to go between 8 and 10,000. And I mean, the 765 has it's become quite a popular watch because of the reissue. The condition of these are also just fantastic. I love this shot in particular. I'm going to try and move my cursor in such a way that it gets behind the ID logo on the screen there. Can I do it? I don't know. Let's see. There's just something so nice about the way this is laid out. This is practically an excellent watch. I think they're about 42 mils in size. It's a medium rare. We can talk all about the rarity scale, Samurai. I love it. It's about a 42 mil sized watch, if I'm not wrong. And everything just works here. The bezel is out of the way. You have the whole idea of a countdown bezel, which is practical. You have a really charming case. I'd imagine the lugs are like, coming up to 50 mils in length. You have the big eye styled subdial at the 3 o'clock position. It's just clean, symmetrical, clear, very legible. You can understand why these are so favored and popular. I mean, it's really the pilot chronograph of the ages. I would say it's one of the most, when we think inspired chronographs of its time. The Type 20 aesthetic was very popular back then. In this configuration, I mean, you're dealing here with a very similar kind of example of a Type 20 that has been modernized a bit. Yeah, it works. Marky says, good. It's great to know. And Samurai say, I love this community. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, these shows, it's most of the time it's at my expense of me just talking over myself. And the real enjoyment is to be found in the comments, right? Let's see. 1967, this being a top time. Now we know the top time famously was a, oh, come on, mouse. I have to be very careful with the magic mouse hand today. The top time famously was featured in, come on, Thunderball. Sean Connery, his passing was 2 weeks ago, I think already. Good grief. 2 weeks ago. And it can't have been that quick. My God. Time has just been flying, I tell you. And it was used as a Geiger counter. It was one of the first real gadget watches, I think, in the James Bond franchise. I think it was the first. The big crown that he used in the film was, I think in Dr. No, was for the radium detection on the meter. But actually using the top time in that cushion case with the mesh bracelet was he used it to recon a yacht, I think, if I remember. This is fantastic. Gotta love a good top time. And I mean, you look at this dial and you think Hamilton Intramatic. Same kind of layout, straight lugs. I would imagine it's from the same time period. Asking about the reference, 861, 810, if that helps you at all. I doesn't help me, but yeah, it's an 810 reference. Yeah, they're charming watches. It's nice. What I love about these categories is that they are pretty logical in the way they're formed. We saw Cartier, now we're seeing Breitling, so there's a bit of alphabetical order here. Hitting the coffee again. I've got to do it. Oh, geez. I slammed a coffee before sitting down after I woke up. This is the next one. So I hope I make it. I hope my heart doesn't burst. 25 minutes sub dial. Got it. Does it have one of those? God, I don't know. Nice looking piece, though. Very, very 60s era. I think we're going to see a similar Panda Daytona later on as we move through. And then we get to some more peculiar models. So this being a chronomatic on the left from Breitling, again, the surfboard dial. This was quite a popular, charming thing. Another cigarette-style hand set, cushion case. The next to it is a console. Never heard of that brand before. From the 1940s. I mean, that's amazing. And look at the prices. Again, ladies and gents, what's the bonus about doing the show now is that between now and the 5th of December, if you spot anything that you like, that you think's worthwhile, check them out. They're all relatively affordable for us, which is a nice change. And then we have some Yemas and Lejeune. Right. Megan's going to probably have to help me here. And maybe Clive, if he's still watching with us. But Yema was the French variant and Lejeune was the American variant, right? Help me out. But these are both rally pieces and they are some of the coolest chronographs. I mean, Lejeune especially. I think Mario Andretti made this piece very famous. He was awarded this after winning Daytona a couple of times. Or was it the Indy 500? I don't know. But yeah, just stylish, charming, peculiar looking models. And I mean, the way they styled them back in the day. Look at the subdials. Inspired by very much a dashboard on a car. Even got the wood grain to it, which is just so kitsch. Actually, it's very kitsch to have that kind of feature to it, but it's something that adds to the character. My favorite out of the two would be this, because with a chronograph, contrast is key, you know. And here is an example of a watch that has that very well. Don't know so much about the racing stripes on the side. It's a little bit old-fashioned, a little bit out of place, but it's nice to have a bit of highlight. Maybe to add even more would be to have a red accent on the chronograph hand too, just to tie it in together a bit better. Patent pending, Inca block, and the prices of these between, which is 1,000 and 1,400, 2,000 and 3,000 for the one on the right, both in the late 1960s. Was I right? I can't believe it. These have been recreated into the current collections. Oh yes, they have. I mean, these are also reissued pieces, and we're seeing it happen more and more. Brands are starting to dig back into their past. It's funny that it's like they know they've worked out what sells, what is popular, and it seems like vintage reissues have become the next thing. I mean, this is just so. Look at this. Look at the. Sorry, everyone. Trying to get my hand working here. Look at the date window at the base. Even there, it has a wooden setup. It's like, what? Is it vinyl? Who knows? But it's pretty good, charming, entertaining. Again, sorry if there's a bit of delay. This is a very high-res document, so I would imagine there's probably going to be a bit of a problem with loading times and everything there, so bear with me. So we have a Hoya next from the 1940s. Isn't that amazing? Hold on a sec. Waterproof. Wow. Okay. This looks just like the Carreras we would know and love when we arrived at the 60s. And here is a 40s reference, right? I'm getting comments and questions. Yema Rally worn by Mario F1. Yes, Raymond. I think it is, at least. I hope. Andretti's model was branded Wesley. Can't get them. Les. Again, you guys know the history more than me. I am your humble servant. I'm just presenting, and I by no means am a history nut with a lot of these things. I like looking at the aesthetics and pointing out some of the details, but hell, you guys know this stuff way, way more than me. And dear Artifact, everyone in the chat, get onto Instagram and follow this. Am I typing it right? Yes. Follow this handle on Instagram. Dear Artifact is a gent. He has a great, great page, and I love his style and his taste in pieces. Very, very similar to me, actually. I guess that's probably why we're peas in a pod. So, stunning looking model. I mean, we think of the Hoya Carrera. This is pre-Carrera, right? Because of the Carrera, it pretty much brought Hoya to the forefront. Up until then, they were still trying to find their way in. And here we see a model from the 40s that looks so true to the Carrera of the 60s that we then would later know. I'm sure we will see an example in a moment. Between 1,500, 2,500 for this. And I just appreciate the small things, like they've put it on a racing strap. Just something that ties into it being a racing chronograph, even though this in the 40s, I would imagine, what the hell would it have been used for? Telemeter scale? Probably not. Reference 3336, by the way. Oh, and it's rare. It's good to know. God, I hate that word. Rare has really become one of my bug words. Right. Moving on next. I'm sure we will see some Carrera time. So we have a Camaro. I really love the Hoya Camaro. Definitely not the hot favorite. Everyone loves the Monaco. But the Hoya Camaro and the Monza, to me, I think are some of the coolest in their lineup, in their vintage lineup. They've also done a few reissues. Okay, I'm missing you all here in the chat again. Sorry, that was when Hoya were great. Raymond, yes, I agree. I'm removing links to an old watch that my grandparents got me right now. Well, keep your eye on the screws, Sam Ray. Don't want to be scratching up the case or the bracelet or anything else. I know it's difficult. The best part is you can just listen to my voice and I can put you all to sleep. All right, so this is a 1970s Hoya Camaro on the left, and on the right, a Carrera 45 from the 1960s. And yeah, again, the Camaro and the Monza are very much the modern overhauls of the Hoya Monaco that we know. And I just think it's gradually improved. You know, they've looked at it a bit more. They weren't in a competition with the El Primero back then, and so it is. Speaking of El Primeros, the end of the show, we're going to see a very good one. These are just great. Look at this Autavia. Oh, my goodness. I think Craft and Tailored, Cam of Craft and Tailored, did a review of the Hoya calculator watch. Again, if you're on the platform, if you're on YouTube right now, and you haven't seen Craft and Tailored, I'll type in his handle. Hope this works. Tailored. Is that right? I don't know. Hope it is. Check out Craft and Tailored's YouTube channel. Cam is a great guy. We've hung out a lot and highly recommend it. If you want some inside watch knowledge on vintage pieces and just a great time, just a real hangout, you could say. His channel is very much a hangout channel. Recommended. I'm pretty sure he's done a discussion around the calculator. Very peculiar model. Look at the prices between 1,824, and then next to it, the Autavia, the Viceroy Autavia, between 2 and 3 grand, 1970s. All of these pieces on rally straps. I love that little detail. They're not putting them on NATOs or anything. This is all relevant to their purpose, right? BMW head of design, where's that? Eric Bell, which one? Sorry, a Hoya Autavia, I hope. Yeah, just great. The Autavia especially. If you don't know the history of the Autavia, it was the watch worn by Joe Seifer. And you know, he was a driver for the 917 Le Mans team, Porsche Le Mans team, in the 70s, in 1970. This should have been the watch that Steve McQueen wore in the film. Speaking of which, Phillips having another auction, I think December time, and that's when they're going to be looking at the Paul Newman, another Paul Newman, and the McQueen Hoya. I feel like I should do it. Maybe a vote in the chat would probably help. A bit of a communal feedback there would be nice. I don't know if I should. But I do want to see what the Steve McQueen Hoya goes for. The Hoya Monaco that he wore made it popular. Okay, moving on next to some more Carreras. And the voice is already going. And we've been running for 40 minutes. Good Lord, this is bad. Fisherman's Friend to the rescue. Hoya Carrera Automatic Chronograph, 1970s. This is another watch that I love. I think the winking dial is very cool. Definitely not for everyone, but the one next to it, 18 karat solid gold, Hoya Classic from 2000s. Jeez, this looks small. Hey? This looks like a 36mm reference. I love the blue accents and those highlights there too. Yeah, these watches are a lot of fun. It's great to see pieces that are not looked at highlighted in these kinds of auctions. And yeah, I'm missing you all. There's so many chats going on here, and it's just nonstop. Monaco, yes, Raymond. The Steve McQueen Monaco is going to be going up for auction, I think, December time, mid-December. And yeah, I'd love to discuss it. I reckon that would be good. Foreman mentioning that McQueen supposedly chose the Monaco because it was eye-catching and not traditional. I mean, it's avant-garde for sure. I don't know the full extent of the story, if there were 3 of them that they used in the film or whatever it was. But it is, I mean, it's a classic. And yeah, talk about the race for the first automatic chrono. It's pretty exciting. What about the gold Hoya from Wolf of Wall Street? This looks very similar to it, no? I don't know why the dial is twisted like that. I don't know if that's, oh no, 1980s. Is it because the crown is at the position and they've had to rotate the dial to, that's strange. I think that's a bit of a flaw. Okay, off-center dial configuration. Is this supposed to aid in legibility, having it offset there? That just looks so wrong. And this is a Hoya Daytona. God, I didn't even know they made one of these. And you see the late 1970s, we start seeing them being gentified. Isn't that cool? You start seeing these little touches, these little languages that are very bizarre and strange. I mean, here we see the Royal Oak aesthetic, the Nautilus aesthetic coming in. And yeah, chats again. Did my fender shims last week. Oh my goodness. You guys are chatting about everything. It's great. I love it. The community is always a joy. I hope you're all catching up well. I hope you're all looking after yourselves. God, I haven't even brought that up yet. I love these pieces. I hope you're all looking after yourselves and you are doing okay, and you are, this is a good time to just kick back and enjoy yourselves. That's why I love these Saturday shows. Sam, good evening. Sorry you're late, overslept. So I did as well. Don't worry. Do not worry. I overslept badly. I woke up about 15 minutes before the show. Now, these are pieces that need to be looked at, because when we consider IWC today, all we know about the brand is the big pilots and the Mark 11s and 15s and 21s and 28s, however many marks they have of those pilot watches, which we are going to see later on, actually. But and also the Engineer, I guess, as an example. This is the Aqua Timer on the left-hand side. And look at the aesthetic. I get so many flashbacks to the Ocean 2000, the Porsche design Ocean 2000. It was great. And then next to it, we have a compressor layout here. 2008 to celebrate 140 years of IWC watchmaking. Aqua Timer. I love this. There's something so cool about a watch that doesn't go overboard when it comes to text on the dial, and also typeface. You notice that here all we have really is batons and a bezel with simple quarters, and that's it. It's very crisp and clear. Again, we have a Tropic strap, which is a nice detail. And I'm missing you all in the chat. Megan saying, I'm buying this off YouTube revenue, Steve McQueen. Ooh, you know what? That's what I've been doing. I've been saving all my money, Megan, for the Steve McQueen Monaco. Actually, I'm debating buying myself a guitar in the next week. Don't tell anyone. No one's watching. Don't tell anyone. Raymond saying the offset dial, the center dial, was put on by a bloke who was smoking something illegal in my state. Raymond, I don't understand why they did it. No idea. But compared to the last pieces we've seen, I think as far as a dive watch goes, this is such a nice example here. Pencil hands. There's nothing polarizing about these pieces, really. You don't have Mercedes hour hand or broad arrow or anything that would make you look at the watch twice and think to yourself, is this the best direction? This, to me, is quite an exceptional piece of design. I love how they've doubled up the batons at all the points. It's great. Really nice looking model. And here we go. So 2014 World Timer. These watches are very unloved, and they just recently brought out another variant. What did they call it? The Spit. It was the Spit. No, it wasn't a Spitfire. What did they call the thing? But it's also a World Timer with a bezel that they own the patent of, and it's their own method of being able to have it's crazy. The bezel you turn and you can set the GMT or the World Time complication. It's very cool. Eric Bell saying D28. Possibly, yes, most definitely. Megan saying IWC were one of the first I remember with the super compressor and the Jlc. Oh, they're gorgeous. I love super compressor cases. There's so much about them that just speaks to a more dressier time, I think. They're dressier divers next to the standard ubiquitous dive bezels that we know today. And yeah, again, big pilot. This is what they're known for today on the left-hand side. These chronos are also very popular. Not, I would say, the most eye-catching in the lineup, but also pretty striking. I just love their usage of typeface on their dials. You notice very typical, very Germanic, and the sword hands are always appreciated. Gotta love it. Bud saying looks like another great ID afternoon. I don't know so much. I woke up like a couple of minutes ago, and I'm still getting into the swing of things. But great having you here, Bud. I hope you're well. I hope everyone is well, and you're all looking after yourselves. And Megan, I hope you're not doing anything strenuous. You got to make sure that hip heals quick. All right. Again, I don't know if you missed it, ladies and gents, but the Philips auction show that we did last week gave Megan appendicitis on the Sunday. The next day, watch these shows at your own risk. That's all I'm saying. You never know what's going to happen. Right. So next we have circa 1969. I just love that we don't see rare printed on this. Rare and attractive, amazing. It's just a gentleman's stainless steel IWC Yacht Club automatic. You know, instantly there, it's keeping it real, because the people buying these pieces are not ones that are, you know, just in it for the sake of it. These are collectors. These are guys who are interested in the hobby. So you don't need to, you know, overdo it. So we have two old pieces from the 50s and the 60s. I don't know if these ones have really stood the test of time very well, but wow, check out that JLC. Awesome. So this is a 1950s Jaeger, not a Le Coutre yet. Circa 1950s Art Deco numerals. They sure are. Between 800 and 1,200. I mean, God, I can imagine these watches are probably like 30 mils in size. But yeah, charming. Flip and Zipper says, coffee, coffee. At the moment, I've got a fisherman's friend in my face, black currant. I've got to get through them somehow. And it's in my cheek, so I've got to try and get the coffee around it somehow. Black currant just doesn't compare to cherry. Yeah, Megan, it was a ruptured appendix. Sorry, it wasn't just appendicitis. Your appendix ruptured after watching the show. It was my repetition of saying rare and attractive about 80 times. Nice looking watches. I do love the way they've done the casing here and the decor. Very deco, both of these pieces. Deco numerals. I think they should bring the deco typeface back on some watches. It's a strange time back then when they were experimenting. You know, that the age of, what could we say? It was an age of opulence that immediately was followed by an age of depression. So, you know, it's just weird how timelines and design aesthetics follow through. Here we go. This is cool. So this is a Grubelin Ipso Vox. I would imagine it's just a JLC movement and it feels like it's probably aligned with the same group. JLC componentry. And the Memo Vox is a gem. It's gorgeous. I love them. That we're going to be looking at a very nice one in a second. Let's see what's going on in the comments. Thanks for the super chat, Flip and Zipper. Yeah, coffee. Don't worry, I'm waking up. King of Cludge asking the question. We've been running the show for 45 minutes, and I haven't even pointed this out. So this is the Watches of Knightsbridge auction. Go into the show more section of the description of this video. You can click on the link that's just below, and you can download the catalog yourselves if you want. I can't believe I didn't even mention that. That's what happens. 1960s reference. The reference number is 855 Memovox model made by JLC. Between 3 and 4 grand. Nice looking piece. But the next one, Mark P. God, you guys are terrible. This is just stunning. This is something you would see on the set of Mad Men, right? Absolutely beautiful. Okay. Whiskey. You guys are the. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Blue Shirt. I honestly have not even a thimble full of the stuff, but it's good stuff, and I'm going to look after it. Okay. Oh, God, that tastes terrible. Whiskey and black currant. Don't do it. Look at that dial. Look at the hands. There's something so special about the Memovox. The aesthetic of that small arrow, it's designed so well. It's beautiful. And snacks on it. Wouldn't that be cool? Eating potato chips or something and just making a hell of a noise. 1960s reference 855 with black dial between 3 and 4 grand is expected to go for. I would imagine this watch is like, what, 33 mils too, which is a bit of a pity. But the aesthetic is beautiful. What do you think would happen if JLC brought out an exact reference to this again? What would happen? You think it would be popular? Of course, they'd have to scale it up a bit. And Juan, thank you so much for the super chat. I do plan on doing another wrist shot week. See what happens when I drink the whiskey. I do plan on doing another wrist shot week in the next week. I hope. I pray. My balls just dropped for a second. That's not good. Not good. Whiskey and me. Doesn't help with the talking. Right, so now we have a Longines with a telemeter scale. So I would imagine this is late 40s, 50s, 60s. That was a fail. 18 karat solid rose gold between 3 and 4 grand. Flyback chronograph. Looks just like an Intramatic again. Same idea with the lugs, the aesthetics, the layout. Do enjoy the colors. Very French in a way. Yeah, and I'm missing you in the chat. Raymond saying Memovox designed and built by A. Schult for the JLC alarm mechanism. I need to do a video about the member box, right? Really do. There's so much. Just as you start this hobby, start getting into this hobby, so you start, getting so captivated by these pieces. And each one of these families, the Longines line, JLC, there's just a myriad of pieces to study, and there's so much. Hans, I don't know if I've said hi to you, but welcome. And I see Jean-Claude Beaver joining us. Always a pleasure having you, Jean-Claude Beaver. Nice looking Longines. Gotta love that's Longines. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. With an alligator strap. Now here we go. This is cool. We've featured a couple of these variants on Wrist Shot Week before. If BDev is in the chat, I'm sure he will attest to how much he enjoys this piece and this aesthetic. So we've had Caravels and Enikars and all kinds of brands back in the day that used the exact same dials, the exact same cases. This is a Longines reference. Notice how you see the quarters. I've said this about 1 trillion times. I repeat myself often. Repetition is the best way for information to go in. These watches were assembled from parts bins. Each brand didn't have their own. The term in-house was used very loosely back in the day. And you notice this dial looks just like the Seamaster 57 and many others because that's just how it worked. I've got a Cyclops lens here. It's a beautiful little watch. 1968, between 2 and 4 grand. Longines Wittenauer Watch Company. Thanks to the Longines Heritage Department, they confirmed it. Delivered to the USA in 1968. Yeah, it's a charming little piece. I think it is really nice. This case, we think Seiko 62 MAS. We think, what's that new model that's come out? The Aquastar Chronograph. They all have this funky little squared off element to it. Also enjoy the steel bezel. Very charming. I think a lot of us can get behind this piece because it's just a nice little simple everyday wearer. I think this is also like 33 mils probably, as you would expect back in the day. Yeah. Again, if you'd like to get my attention, tag me in the chat and I'll be able to read whatever's going on. I miss a lot. We're already at lot 63. Good grief, we're flying through this. How many more pages are there left? Do I know? Page 32 of 108. Holy, okay, maybe we're not flying. Right, so next up we have the IWC Engineer Automatic, 1965. This is beautiful. Look at how they did the script. I know it's pixelated. Bear with me. 4 hours worth. Hans, yes, you guys are the worst. It's very motivating knowing that I'm going to be doing a 4-hour show, It's great. So I know that the text is pixelated, but notice how the IWC logo used to be. It was just gorgeous, cursive. And then the Engineer, with the lightning bolt running through it, it just speaks to that, built for purpose. I don't know so much if the design of the watch says it's built for the purpose of anti-magnetic and scientific discovery and engineers, but I love the dial and layout. Looks like a Calatrava. Has a very Calatrava-esque layout to it. And then we have a vintage Zin. Lot 64, titanium Zin from the 1990s with an AR dial, meaning that it has argon gas inside it. It has a capsule, I think, to capture any excessive moisture, or was it oxygen? I don't know. I think it's moisture. And that little argon capsule eventually gets greener over time, if I remember right. And it's, charming, very charming. Gotta love our Zins. I think there are a few of them coming up. 3 more hours, blue shirt. Don't worry, I will fulfill that promise, I think. I have a feeling. One of my favorite chronographs, the Hoya Bundeswehr, I think they call them, on the right-hand side. This one's seen some action, but I love it. The military Hoya is one of those classics, right up in line with that Breitling that we saw earlier, the 765. This is another piece that just screams late 1960s, 70s. It's a beautiful model, really is stunning. And then across for it, we have a Porsche design. How's that? 1980s Porsche design Royal Navy, which is very peculiar. Don't see that watch very often. The Hoya wins hands down for me. If the AR Zin has been serviced recently, it'll be nitrogen filled. Thank you for that, Mason. Yeah, oh geez, now I see Eric Bell. Or FINA quasi issued, too expensive for the MOD, hence CWC. This became Maverick's Top Gun watch in PVD. Which one was that again? Sorry, Eric. I am motoring through some of these, and I am going to miss a few of your comments. Apologies, everyone. I missed oh my God, I missed a lot. I've missed a lot. Again, tag me in the chat if you want to get my attention quicker. Yeah, Nice piece. I love that Hoya so much. Motoring to the next. Okay, 1938. Check this out. What do you think about this Petri dish dial? Comment Y or N in the chat if you like it or not. I will start the ball rolling. It's, you know, there's one thing about having a tropic layout, but there's also one that when it gets a little bit excessive, and this to me is infected. This is when you go beyond the tropical, and this is when it starts really looking like it's going septic. Septicemia has set in, at least I believe. That end camouflage with the zipper, that's good. Porsche design, Megan. I need to do a video all about them as a series. So this from 1938. This watch is probably 38 mils in size, which was unheard of back then. Now we're getting into the pilot field watches of the Second World War. Yeah, but the septic, I mean, I do appreciate that they've matched the strap. The strap has actually caught the fungal infection itself that's migrated from the dial, as what happens most of the time if you don't clear the system. Oof. You know, it reminds me of the camouflage you would see on a frog in nature. You know, lots of frogs have this kind of color scheme that says, don't come near me because I will kill you if you touch me. And yeah, so what does this say? Tropical black dial. Yeah, tropical can be used a bit loosely. I would say infected. Originally delivered to Poland in December 1938 to their agent Zipper, as confirmed by Longines brand. Hell, that's cool. That's a little bit of heritage. So this was actually an undercover watch. Camo, for sure. What would you catch wearing it? Megan asking me. I think a skin disease of all things. I'm not the best with my medical terms as I'm sitting here talking, but some kind of skin infection, beyond a rash. If you have any open wounds on the wrist while wearing this, I think you might need to get it checked out. These were all radium dials back in the day too, so who knows? Who knows? It probably is water damage rub. I mean, these weren't screw down crowns. These were very much used to the full extent. Poland, you know, the cold place. I'm sure that this was dealing with lots of snow, and just temperature fluctuations can affect it. Flippin' saying herpes. Don't know so much. Maybe leprosy, even though it's something very hard to catch nowadays. This could probably give you a bit of leprosy. Who knows? Beautiful. Next, we're moving to another one that I dig. 1956 MOD Wings dial, British RAF. Now, we speak a lot about the bonus about Watches of Knightsbridge and their catalogs. We get to see a lot of Dirty Dozen RAF issued pieces from the 50s, 60s going on. So this is a segment that we're in now. This is a 1956 Longines. I mean, and at the same time, we saw pieces like Omegas. We saw the Rolex Air King being introduced. We saw the IWC Mark 11, the Jlc, the Mark 11 line in general. Notice the case styling here. This is the Mark 11 case through and through. And yeah, it's just gorgeous. It really is nice. Love the hands. This is so typical to Longines aesthetic back then. These spade-styled hands. And all these watches, what are the prices? Between 1,500 and 2,500. You can find these pieces still. They are becoming more sought after and popular, probably because of people like me and other collectors out there just spruiking them every day. But it's a beauty. I think the condition is also fantastic. Highly recommend, as you're looking at this, watch the condition of these pieces and see just how well the hands are looked after. Look at the dial, all the plots, really good shape. There's some really nice examples coming up later. There's a gorgeous trio of Omegas we're going to see in a moment. Let's zoom out of this beautiful piece and, hey, just talking about them, how's this? Here are some Mark 11s. So these are from Jlc. Now, let me try and remember this because I did a video about the Smith's Navigator, God knows how many months ago, 5 months ago maybe. And story goes was that Jlc was the first to have the contract. This on the right-hand side, 1948, just before we saw the IWC Mark 11 become famous. And yeah, these are just great. 1956 on the left, and on the right, 1948. And I mean, these were issued to different branches, I would imagine. No, both RAF. Interesting. I'd feel like that this would be more issued to the ground troops, and this would be issued to the pilots. And these pieces were designed for the use of astral navigation for pilots who are traveling without charts or any kind of reference. they could use these watches to help their piloting. Megan's saying take them all. I would too. I do love a field watch, and we're going to see some better ones. Don't worry. Hold your horses. We're not done yet. Right. Now we're dealing with Hamiltons. So right after the IWC partnership and collaboration, we then transitioned to Smiths with the W10, and then we saw Hamilton take over. And I was just at the earlier parts of the 60s, kind of. It's very interesting, eh? Lots of cross contract happening here. All pilots watches, all RAF based, and I do love talking about the design of how the pilot watch, in this case for the RAF, came to be. Very much, we could say, stolen designs from IWC pieces from back in. You remember the IWC was right on the border of Switzerland and Germany, so they could pick and choose who they supplied their watches to. And the Dirty Dozen, they supplied the Dirty Dozen to the forces on the Allied side, but on the Axis side, they were providing pieces of the Fliegers that we know and love. And this cross-pollination of aesthetics became what we now refer to as the RAF Mark 11s. And you see that over time, the W10s, all the references coming up from the 50s through the 70s, all adopt this really interesting aesthetic of numerals with quarters, rail marks, gorgeous sword hands, this triangle at the top, very pilot-heavy inspired. Megan saying, "Should have these." Yeah, these are pretty rare, I think. I've never seen a reference of this kind. I mean, this looks just like a Mark 11 case with a Hamilton dial. Okay, moving on. I think we will see, awesome, another Lemonia. This is from 1970s, a vegan, I don't know how to pronounce that, Swedish military Lemonia, reference 817, infamous for the bezels coming loose, causing a potential risk in the cockpit. It is said that watches were ultimately used by pilots without the bezels as a safety precaution. Interesting. So, Lemonia movements. This is when they were getting really popular and hot. We all love our Lemonias. And Ron, is Ron the Shrink joining us? Sorry, guys, I'm missing you all in the chat. See, Megan's the only one who tags me in the chat, so I can see what's going on, but everyone else, Juan probably is at 33. I think the Mark 11s are 35. I think that's the size they normally range at. So they're wearable. Ron the Shrink is joining us. Absolute pleasure having you here. And everyone else, I've missed you all so much. If you tag me in the chat, I can see the comment and I'll be able to reply a lot quicker on the fly. Lemonia Chrono. This looks just like the Type 20 aesthetic. 1970s, it's right smack bang in that era. The case back looks a bit used up, but yeah, a rare, again, my favorite word. Between 5,000 and 7,000 is expected to go for. Nice aesthetic, clean looking piece, and looks like we have a field watch fan club. Megan says, yeah, I mean, how can you not enjoy a field watch? To me, it's just, we can talk about it as we get to the three Omegas, my favorite of the selection here. All right, to CWC, I'd imagine this is 80s, yes. Issued to the BBC. Sorry? The British Broadcasting Corporation. What? Thought to have been used by reporters. What? That is so cool. So yeah, CWC took over the reins, the Cabot Watch Company, when Hamilton was removed because of the quartz crisis, basically, and companies had to try and regather themselves and get back in tune with everything that was going on. So CWC basically took all of the Hamilton elements and started putting their components into their own pieces. And so we saw CWC take over from the 80s until now. The CWC brand is still around, and you can buy some pretty cool pieces there. Sam Ray, big question. Where can I get a Smith's W10? Can't find it anywhere. I'm afraid that's probably my doing. They are very popular watches. I would recommend, if you are brave enough, go onto eBay and check them out. You can still find amazing vintage ones. The modern ones crop up here and there, but as it is, time factors, Eddie runs out of stock so fast, and it's extremely difficult to keep tabs of what's going on. Okay, moving on next. I think we're going to get to our Omegas in a second. What's this? The CWC Diver. We can talk about this in a moment. Newmark RAF Pilots Chronograph 1980, part of the Fab 4. I don't know that reference. Maybe someone can oblige. But the CWC on the right-hand side, 1997, Quartz Diver. This one very much inspired by the original Omega Seamaster 300 back in the day. You notice the aesthetic. I think we do have one coming up in a moment. Oh, really, Eric? My old work watch, late 90s, 97. I mean, it's such a cool watch. It really, you can buy these new, or you can buy them vintage today, which is cool. And it is just such a practical diver for what it is. Hardcore. God, I love the Lorge sword hands. I'm not even going to try and correct myself. Dated 2017, homage to the 19. So you see, we have some reissues here. It's definitely not an aesthetic for everyone. I think the polarizing element is the case design and the crown guards. I think they had to be unique in some way. They decided not to adopt the lyre lug system. But yeah, they're just awesome. Really are workhorses, and the aesthetics are very charming. I do feel like we're going to see some vintage. I'm pretty sure there's a vintage Seamaster that this design is based on. It's interesting how they decided to choose this aesthetic again, re-adopt this aesthetic as we move on, because, I mean, we know that the Seamaster was around like late 60s, 70s for the Navy. This is 83. So they just dug around in the parts bin and thought, well, this is a cool aesthetic. Let's go with it. Okay, carrying on. Where are my Omegas? Rare Gentlemen's, here we go. Black PVD. This could be your watch, Eric. Black PVD, SBS. That's cool. SBS issued. Between 2 and 3 grand this is going for. So the sad thing is that these are quartz. These aren't automatic. If I remember right, I don't know if these ever had automatic movements, but something shaky boat has the wrong color Phoenix. What would they be using? Would it be a navy blue, or would it be black? Wouldn't it, Eric? Correct me. Russell has joined us. Fantastic. Welcome, Russell. And Megan's saying CWC is awesome. Yeah, they are great. They're brilliant. Ron's made it. It's good to have you here, Ron. I did say hi to you earlier. Okay, carrying on. I feel like the shaky boat models of these would have black NATOs. Yes. Okay, I'm good. I'm getting there. Yeah. So PVD case, love it or hate it. It's not my cup of tea. The problem with PVD, I think, is that, you know, when you talk about design, you want to celebrate the material that the watch is made from, right? And I think that the black PVD kind of mars that in a way, because you're not seeing the stainless. But then for the sake of hiding polish, keeping it subtle and low key, PVD is a very nice feature. So yeah, good example. It's definitely been used. It's experienced a bit. Moving on next. Let's see if we can find those. Here we go. So IWC Mark 11. This being probably one of the most famous watches of the 1950s. I'm gonna claim. It wasn't just the 50s. I think they also had these in the late 40s, and they were around for about 3 or 4 years. And it's definitely not a watch for everyone. The sword off our hand is very strange. There are other aesthetics that are a little bit peculiar. But here we see just this interesting approach of taking a field watch and a pilot watch and smashing it together and hoping that something works. For those of you who might not know, the broad arrow hand was there to designate military purpose, military intent. The circle T for tritium, because it used a tritium dial, not radium. And yeah, subtle little features. How much is this going for? Between 4,000 and 5,000. Okay. From 1951, between 4 and 5 grand, it's planned on going for. It's in pretty good condition, considering. Again, about 35 millimeters, I think. And Perry saying medium, rare, well done. This is well done, I think. Very well done. And you're dealing with just amazing movements. I think a lot of these IWCs also got JLC movements too. They weren't only IWC-based movements, if I remember right. Lots of little factors and features that make this watch unique. I got to say, love the aesthetic. The way the case works here, to me, is just so charming. The organic form, the flow of it. Legibility is also nice. It's definitely not for everyone, but pretty good. Nice dial. I would say it's the dial layout is what divides opinion the most, I reckon. The accentuated minute marks, that one detail that makes this a Mark 11 is the accentuated marks at the hour points. That's what really breaks it up the best. The one issue is that this piece did not come with a lot of lume on it, which is what we then saw improved upon when we get to the W10s. Notice that we only have lume at the quarters. In the dark, it's not the easiest watch to read unless you're quite well versed at telling time in the dark. Sam Ray would wear it. That's good. I like it. And again, your chats are great. I hope I'm reaching you in time. Yeah, carrying on through to the next. Awesome. This is a Dirty Dozen. So how's this? We're going switching between the two. This is a 1940s reference. This is a 1950s reference. You see how we chopped and changed the aesthetic back then. So where to start? This is based in 1945, part of the, if I'm not wrong, the IWCs are one of the rarest. Like I said in the beginning, IWC was on the border. They could make for both. They are very, very democratic in the way they were able to approach their designs. So we got to see them providing not only watches to the Allies, but also the Axis forces. This is the very typical, standard that the Allies wanted with the way their dials were done. And as we then switch across to the 50s, we see more of a Flieger aesthetic being put into the piece. And I love it. I really love it. Looks like a Nomos. There's all sorts of aesthetics and elements here. The large subdial is very attractive. And I think we're going to see a few more Dirty Dozen models later on. Got to say, the pencil hands on this piece, to me, is a bit more appealing next to the flat sword-off element. But this is what makes the Mark 11. The way that they decided on these details. The rail minute track is also appealing. And yeah, nice, really nice piece. Carrying on next, though, I think, we still got more. Here's the W10. Now, I truly believe that the W10, I really find it to be, at least for my taste, I think the W10 is one of the best designed field watches out there. You could argue that the A11 on the American side is good. There are Benris's and Hamilton's and other pieces out there with the 24-hour scale. That's how you can really differentiate the two. This, to me, aesthetically, it's just fantastic. I love it. It's when you meet that crossing point of the Mark 11 and the field watch in one piece. There's a great blend of classic and modern here. And then next to it, we have another 1945 Dirty Dozen Longines. I'd say this is also quite a rare one in the selection. It's Longines, it's JLC, Omega. Those are the three that I think are the most sought after. There's a few others. I think Lemonia as well. Yeah, great looking watch. I've got to say, I do love a good W10. They're still available. You can still find them. Keep your eyes out, keep your eyes open. It's a pity that the NATO straps are not the best NATO straps. I would like to see some leather on these maybe, but they do have fixed spring bars. It's a real problem. But still, charming, really charming. And here's some more. These are also Dirty Dozen pieces. I'm sure most of us know the history of the Dirty Dozen, but all of these models were issued to the Allied forces. You had 12 different brands, all adopting the same, contractually designed, I like to call them. They all had to follow certain specifications. Some deviated in a few places, but largely they were all the same. They couldn't make enough of these, and these watches really did see the action back in the day. Yeah. So of all of them, when we get to the Omegas, you're going to love it. The Omegas are stunning. Longines next to it is as good as the W10, Megan says. I don't know. I mean, the issue that I have when I look at these two, the cathedral hands to me dates the watch too much, I think. At least when you're a watch enthusiast, you start looking at those kinds of things. I find that the cathedral hand just tips it in a bit of the older fashion. Even the typeface. Actually, no, the typeface is pretty good. When we look at the Smith's pencil hands, the white seconds hand, it just felt like there was a bit more consideration. I mean, it's amazing. Look at the time difference. 1945 on the right, 1967. What's that? 12 years difference between the two. Yeah, I love them. There's so much we can learn. I know field watches are definitely not for everyone. These pieces are small. They're like 33 mils, I think. But there's just so much to learn and discover and enjoy about what made a military spec watch, at least for the British forces, the Allied forces. I don't think we have any American-made models. We don't have any A11s and the rest. Right, missing you in the chat. Sam saying, newish to this, with all the extra premiums, taxes, is there an advantage from buying auction? You know, Sam, the issue is that the one big bonus, I guess, is that you know you're getting something that is legitimate, that's been checked out, that is true to, it hasn't had replacement parts. They will be more specific with those elements. The downside is, of course, that you are paying a hell of a premium on top of the price. So it's a catch-22. you're paying like 30% on top of whatever the watch goes for when it comes to premium. But you are getting a watch that some could say are quite rare, like the one on the left, this being a Weems Omega, which is pretty nice. You don't see these very often. The downside is, yeah, you're paying a lot more on top of it. I'm probably not the best person to ask, but that's at least what I've seen. I'm by no means an auction junkie. So on the left-hand side, the Weems, I mean, this is one of the watches that first adopted a outside turning bezel. And what was the reference? 6B. This is basically a Longines Omega 6B reference. That's what they call them. And the original Weems had a screw-down crown at the top that could lock the bezel down. You had a proper turning bezel on this piece. And this is like early 1940s. All issued to RAF pilots. The model known to have been used by pilots during the Battle of Britain. Well, there we go. I mean, gnarly time, right? Getting those Spitfires. Then we have a 1956 black MOD dial from 1956 Omega. Another really cool piece. This feels quite dated, actually, when you look at its aesthetic. Feels more like a 40s era reference. Okay, I'm going to catch up with the chats for a moment. Missing you all here. Thank you, everyone who's joining us. It's a real pleasure having you here. Let's see, Flip and Zipper. The occupation of the negative space, though. Yeah, I mean, are we talking about the W10? There's some really good examples. As far as design exercises go, these are some of the best, I think. They're made to be utilitarian, functional, easy to read and use. Also just excellent everyday wearing watches. The Field Watch has become this watch that seems to now ride this line of being a sports watch and a dress watch today, you know? And there's lots of merit to it, I think, design-wise, to enjoy. Forbin saying, suggestion for future vid, what were the largest vintage watches? Greater than 37 mils. Like it. Really like that point. Ron's saying that's very cool. If you're talking about the Weems, have a look at it. It's spelt Weems. I think he was a captain, and they gave the watch the nickname. The Weems Omega. There was also a Weems Longines. Lots of dial sharing back then. Moving on next, now we have two more Dirty Dozen pieces from Omega. Gorgeous sword hands, and these are some of the rarest in this category, I think. Between 1,200, 1,800. I do like it on the leather strap. Good exercise and design. Subdials. Weems influenced the 50 fathoms, Forbin. Debatable. Difficult to answer there. I mean, technically, the Zodiac Seawolf was probably one of the first. Maybe I'm wrong in saying that it was one of the first outside turning bezels to be used. There were probably others. As far as experimentation goes, pretty nice. Got to say, it's pretty nice. Okay, and then I think this last selection, I love the, here we go. Hero shot. 3 gentlemen stainless steel military watches. So we have Dirty Dozen Omega from 45, RAF pilot's watch from 53, and another RAF from 56. Between 4, 5, and 5 for this set. That is such a win, I think. Oh, it's so cool. So here we go. This is like a procedural development between the Dirty Dozen to the W10 styled case to the later reference. And you see how the dials were changed. I mean, look at the stylized broad arrow in the center. It's just so bizarre. Yeah, you got to enjoy it. You got to enjoy how these old pieces were made back then. Catching up. Sorry, I'm missing some good chats going on here. I do apologize, everyone. Somehow this Weems stuff has totally evaded my knowledge. Pretty cool stuff. Yeah, I mean, there are some hidden gems out there, Ron, really. The only reason why I know about it is because I've had to like study up on this full development to try and get my head around the understanding of Smiths, and then you just work backwards. I did a video about the watches of the British Armed Forces like a year ago. Megan saying the Field Watch is becoming the everyday work watch in the USA. No, I agree. They have become so popular. I mean, the Hamilton khaki, really popular. Vertex, Chrono Craze says, yes, Vertex has just recreated their Dirty Dozen piece, I think, or a model from the 50s, if I remember, Vertex Field Watch. But I just love the selection. We've got a bunt strap on one side. Would be nice to see a Phoenix. I don't think these aren't Phoenix NATOs, but still, they are just so classic. They don't age the same as a dress watch, I don't think. There's something else about them that gives them that utilitarian factor. These were some of the best sports watches of their day. Even though they weren't sports watches, they were proper workhorses. I love it. All hand wound, just classic. Really nice set. Lot 90, if anyone's interested. Hell of a good find. I mean, the condition of these are also great. The cases, if you look at the condition of the cases overall, this especially stunning. So yeah, have a good look. Keep your eyes peeled. Very interested in knowing what these go for. And some more. Good grief, how many? 1953, thin arrow between 3 and 4 grand. Charming. Don't know so much about the dial. What are we going to call this one? This looks like what kind of infection? What do you think about the patina on this dial too? I'm taking a sip of the coffee. My energy levels are spiking. And I'm missing you all in the chats, as always. Julian is joining us. Pleasure to have you here, Julian. I think the Petri dish, yeah, that's a good one. Mumps, Sam says. I don't know what you would call it, hey? Chicken pox, I think. Chicken pox is a pretty good one too. It's funny how these dials, again, these dials all had radium to them. So, no idea how they would age. Of course, they were worn in water. They experienced everything. And Ron says, fine line between water damage and patina. Yeah, I agree. What do they say in the description? Anything? No, they don't say anything about patina and everything there. But yeah, nice looking piece. Still a watch of its time, the 40s. Patinaed loom, patinaed dial. Yeah. There's a fine line between tropical and patina on their dials too, right? Yeah, true. Spotty dial, Megan says. Yeah, I'd say. Moving on. I mean, this is like, blocked sebaceous glands. I feel like whitehead. Call this the whitehead dial. It's good. Moving on. Right. Now we're getting to our divers. This is 1972. Reference 166. Got it. Their references 166073. Israeli military Seamaster 120. And this is very different to the earlier generations that we saw. But now we're seeing a few military issued variants. And I do like this dial. Definitely looks like a watch from the 70s. Somehow I don't feel like the hands match the dial. Maybe I'm wrong here. Use dartboard hands. That's very good. I like that. Yeah, something about the hands just don't match the dial to me. Maybe, are they replacement hands maybe? Don't know. Israeli forces. This looks like an applied logo too, which is cool. They did away with the lyre lugs, which is a bit of a shame. Kind of affects the professional aesthetic of the watch. It's also very cluttered, which is between the enlarged minute track, as far as I know, at least, I might be wrong here, but as far as I know, the enlarged, the fully graduated bezel was there just to improve legibility of telling the time to the minute. It was much more practical than having accentuated minute marks on the dial too. The fact that they've doubled up here makes it quite a cluttered watch to read. Yeah, but again, the hands, I just don't feel like the sword hands don't work with the 70s aesthetic. This piece would probably look a lot better with just pencil hands, really. Nothing, the broad arrow looks, they actually, when I zoom into them, they look replacement. Don't know. Doxa-esque, Ed, that's a very good point. Very, very good point. Look how the dial is aged, but the hands look pretty new. Might be onto something here. But again, hands don't match. I guess we're talking more about replacement and not. I do like the Israeli defense. There's a nice bit of history to it. All right. Oh, here we go. This is one of the biggest hype watches of last year, I think, if I'm right. The Ultraman, as it's called. And from the archives, it will say Moonwatch with orange hand, I think, right? That's how they describe it. So the story about this, 1968, Omega Extract archives showing delivery to British military suppliers, Navy, Army, Air Force institutes, confirming that the watch was originally fitted with an orange seconds chronograph hand. So these have become some of the rarest Speedmasters out there because of that orange hand. Primarily made for Japanese domestic market. I don't know. You might need to help me with my watch knowledge here, but this has been reissued and people love them. I feel like it's a bit tacky having the Ultraman printed on the subdial and everything that they've done. They've gone a little bit overboard with the reference. They could have done something a bit more subtle with Ultraman on the case back, and that's it. But I think I saw one of these pop up on Antiques Roadshow, and it was very interesting hearing his story. I think he was on a business trip to that side of the world at the time, and he just picked one up because he liked the orange hand. And turns out that, I mean, these watches are going for stupid money now. There's only like 500 of them in the world, I think, that are legitimate. And the way to prove it is from the extract. They'll say it's been supplied with an orange hand, like it was fitted from the factory back then. Beautiful looking piece, though. I think the condition is stunning. Look at the dial, very well aged. And if Orange Hand, is he here with us? Yes, he is. Orange Hand would love this piece. I love your name, Orange Hand. It's very to the point, you know? Yeah, it's a charming watch. And just remember, the only difference is the orange hand that gives it that unique flair to it. Expected to go between 15 and 25. I think that's a bit of an understatement. It'll probably go for a lot more. I don't know how many of these were actually made back then. About 300, I think. I don't know. But yeah, pretty charming. And we do have a few more. I think we have a Ed White. Yes. No, not an Ed White. CK2998 from 1961. Alpha hands accompanied by the original Omega corduroy box instruction pamphlet. Okay. So there are some... Oops, Magic Mouse. There are some pros and cons. Oh, come on. Work with me here. Magic Mouse. I love you, darling. So the pros. This watch comes with its original box instruction book. The cons is that it doesn't have end links, which is a bit of a pity. But the condition of this piece, when you just look at the watch head itself. If I can, I'm going to try and zoom in. Sorry if the screen jumps around a bit crazily. It's very difficult to control this mouse. The dial has aged so well. The CK2998, famously the first Omega in space that everyone there speaks about. And yeah, I mean, the alpha hands. There's so much to this watch. And the next step forward we saw was the Ed White with the professional hands. But this is it. This is quite a character. Does the alpha hand set work better than the professional hands? That's the question. And you see, the issue with this watch, I mean, when it comes to legibility, what this watch does, I guess, is add a bit more dress to its aesthetic. It looks a bit more dressier as an everyday watch. This was right off the back of the original Speedmasters, you know, the 57. This is probably early, I would say like 1960 on the nose. I say 61, I think. I love that it comes with its original box. Even the crystal, I mean, geez, the crystal has been hammered. But, I mean, you can replace this. You can keep the crystal and the bezel. This watch has been well worn. It would be nice to see an original of this. And maybe someone who's better with this. I'm sure there's someone here who's better with their Speedmaster knowledge. Between 12 and 15 it's expected to go for. I think it'll go for a lot more than that. Someone who's good with their Omega knowledge, could someone please tell me when this watch ever had a lollipop on the seconds hand, on the chronograph hand? Was that because it was issued... Was it just a very rare reference that did it? I don't know the full extent. But first Omega in space, original flat link bracelets and everything else. I love them. Speedmaster to me is just it's such a winning formula. Also really like that the size of this is like 39 mils, I think. Right, so let's see the comments. I'm missing you all here. Wrong the Shrink says, if you have the means to buy a new Ed White, I'd recommend it. I think they're going to sell for way above retail. Yeah, I mean... What's crazy, I was just browsing eBay the other day and saw 321 caliber professionals for $6,000. And you got to ask yourself, I mean, is it really worth going for the new 321 movement when you can buy vintage and such good condition models too? It's difficult. I think the way they've priced the watch, it's special, but they're also milking a lot of what the watch is with the caliber. But the Ed White is nice. I've noticed one small flaw that I don't really like about the new Ed White, and that's the clasp. The clasp looks almost, I guess, true to form. It's stamped. It doesn't feel milled like the 57 reissues. I'd check out some unboxing videos and you'll see what I mean. Yeah, nice watch. Spoken about it enough. Some more professionals. These are pre-moons, so these are all 321s. Oops, Magic Mouse. On the left-hand side, it's a 321. And this is what I mean. I mean, you can still find these between 4.5 and 6.5. You want the 321 caliber. They're still out there in the vintage form. All you need to do is replace the crystal, keep the original crystal, and you know, enjoy it. Wear and enjoy it. Yeah, orange hand. Everyone's just chatting amongst themselves. It's good. I'm talking over myself. It's nice. So the professional case and the Lyre lugs, what do we think about it? It's one of those elements that has definitely made this watch what it is today. Does it? I don't know, it's a peculiar one. I still think a lot about how the aesthetic works with the professional. Good Lord. The PDF is really glitching. I think what happens once this has been running for a while, the PDF starts to have a bit of a moment. As you can probably see, it's not a good thing. So just bear in mind, sorry everyone, that the computers, this is supposed to be a 5K Mac. It's having a bit of a problem. Let's see, 1972, reference 145, between 3 and 3.5. And then on the right-hand side, a 1985 reference. And these Speedmasters are everywhere, and they're so popular. I don't know why the PDF just decides to start glitching out. I hope it's okay. I hope you're seeing this all fine. New Ed White up for auction. Really? Are we talking? I don't know. Yeah. I'm interested in knowing more about the Ed White. If someone has been tracking it a lot recently, what's the deal with these models and limited production? How many are they making a year or a month or any of that? It'd be nice to know a bit more detail for all of us. I can share some more info with all of you here. Forbin, I've seen so many Omega Man on the Moon watches that I feel like I've owned one already. Right? I agree. Fully agree. They are everywhere. And I mean, I've been looking at them. I've actually been thinking of purchasing one myself, whether first Omega in space or just the standard Man on the Moon with the Hesalite glass. And it's just that kind of watch that is going to, I guess, if you're buying it for the value purpose, it will retain its value, I would say, in many ways. So they're always going to be sellable. It's a watch that you can experience and enjoy. It's got a great history to it. It's such a good watch to get you into the hobby, to understand, just appreciate the nuances. I would totally buy a Speedmaster. I really think. 1,000 a year, Dear Artifact says. Okay. Sorry, Megan, I'm rushing too far ahead. 72 is great value. I'm already on 99. I think I missed a bit there. Also, the Mark II. These are still going for great money. Now, they're not popular, right? They're not watches that everyone jumps on. But I love the orange accents and the details. This one it looks like it's been aged a bit in the sun. But racing dials, they were just so quirky back in the 70s. And yeah, you can still get them for a song today. And here's some more examples, this being the more standard Mark IIs that we know. Between 1,800 and 2,000. This has a chocolate dial. These are very popular, by the way. You find tropical dials of these Mark II variants very often. So keep your eyes out if you're interested. They are big, 42 mils, but they probably wear a bit larger with the cushion, the integrated 70s cushion case. Nice looking pieces, though. Very much streamlined. You think of it more of an astronaut's instrument here, because we look at oh my God. Sorry, everyone. I really apologize for the uselessness of the mouse and the PDF. You look at the professional lugs and you think to yourself, it's a bit stylized. It's a bit dressy. It doesn't feel like an instrument so much. When you look to the piece on the right, the focus is now on the dial, on the bezel a bit more. It's less of a dressy styled watch, something more functionally focused. At least that's how I see it. But again, big wearing watches at 42 mils. They probably wear larger with the cases. This one, let's have a look at what this is about. A rare, my favorite word, medium rare, telestop chronograph. Whoa, oh, I see. Whoa, that's cool. 1979. I didn't know what that meant. Have a look at where that cable threads. I'll mention it in a moment. Produced for sportsmen and women to allow them to time themselves during training. How the hell does this work? So you actually, okay, so I'd imagine this is just a single wire. Oh my God, sorry everyone about the PDF flashing around. This single wire would feed into your hand, like a brake cable, basically. And you hold it in your fist as you'd be running or sprinting, and you'll be able to hit the button to time yourself. I love that. I've never seen that feature before. Really interesting. So quirky. I wonder if this ever caught on. They mentioned about the bracelet. It looks like a Jubilee. I don't know. We'll catch up. Medium rare. Catching up with you in the chats. 1972 Omega Megan. Yeah, I'm missing so much here now. Mason saying the Ed White 321 reissue is not a limited edition. It is, however, low production due to the handmade 321 movement. Thank you, Mason. There are lots of little things. It's a hell of a charming watch. I don't know what they price them at now. Something like 12, 15 grand, I think. I don't know. I haven't been following it much. But, you know, for me, my money, I would pick up a first Omega in space, personally. Is the 321 caliber that enticing to you? It is an important aspect. I think it's a very unique caliber. But still, if you want the aesthetic, the first Omega in space saves you a lot of money. You know, if you want to enjoy the old school lugs and everything there. Yeah, pilot style, new mouse. Yeah, sorry guys, I don't know what's going on in the chat, but I'll try and keep up with all of you here. Next, an Omega Deville. This is from 1969, between 3 and 4 grand, and this is right in that Carrera alley. Yeah, it feels just the same. Doesn't this watch also have a 321 movement? Hold on a second. So many, you'll notice that so many of these watches back in the day, this doesn't have a 321. If you look at Seamasters from the same time when the Speedmaster was popular as the Moonwatch, so many of them had 321 calibers. And yeah, keep your eyes peeled. If you're looking for the 321, they're still out there for much more affordable prices. So I find it fascinating how Omega has been able to jump on the reissue group, but have taken it so much further than other brands, recreating an entirely original movement again, just for one watch. It's what everyone's been clamoring for, but it's good to see it happening. My question is whether or not they're going to somehow make the 321 more accessible, maybe less handwork, not make it out of the original materials, try and modernize it in a way. Don't know. Nick's saying, First Omega in Space is a great watch, but it's being discontinued. Better get one soon. That's insider news. Thanks for that, Nick. It's been around for a long time. They've been around since like 2012, I think. So yeah, they're still out. You can still get them, and would totally recommend. Apologies, guys, ladies and gents, for the flashing of the screen. Another bullhead. Is this okay? Maybe if I'm not zooming in so much, maybe that'll help things. This being a rare, my favorite word, gentleman's bullhead Seamaster tropical dial. Yeesh. Now this is when you really start seeing the bull come out. Every time I zoom, the screen goes white like that. I hate it. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna have to try and work around it. If you're prone to epilepsy, look away as much as possible. So the bullhead, this case looks so much like that kind of style, right? It's just it looks like a bull's head. The scale, the size of it, the way the pushes are working there, the colors, the tricolor layout, ugly as, sorry, 73 Match says. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not for everyone. And a watch of the 70s, you see how now it has the integrated case and bracelet like the Mark II that we then saw, Mark II Speedmaster. Yeah, it's good. I mean, that's the thing about aesthetics of the 70s. They were some of the most peculiar times when we were studying watches because colors were changing up and just everything, the handset. I want to zoom in. The screen's going to flash again. I don't know why it does that. It's very dumb. But notice the hands. They look just like your 1655 Explorer hands and everything in between. There's lots of little elements. Orange accents. This, of course, has seen a lot of sun exposure over its time. Zooming out, cover your eyes. It's so difficult to get this thing to work with me. Right, moving on next to James Bond Planet Ocean Coaxial 2006. What, 5,007 pieces? I mean, really, is that important? Very funny. Yeah, Vintage Boy, talking about bullhead, that is probably the best example of a bullhead that you'll ever see because it just looks like one, right? It's very true to the collector expression. I don't know if collectors came up with the name or if it was just something they called them back then. 5,007 pieces. Like, really? Is that so important? So this is the Casino Royale. As you can tell, it's got 007. I'm not a fan of the 007 on the counterbalance. I think it doesn't look very good. 18 karat solid gold Speedmaster triple calendar. That's pretty cool. Look at the prices: 2.5, 3 grand. Here next we have 1965 variants of chronographs with these. I think these were Devilles. No, these weren't Devilles or Seamasters. They were just Omega chronographs. 321 movement. There we go. So here's a caliber 321 in this variant right here. So you could. I mean, I would do this. I don't know if it's feasible, but I would buy this watch for 3 grand, take out the 321, Put it in a first Omega in space. Done deal. Is that wrong? See, I'm that kind of person. I would totally do that given the opportunity. Right. It probably wouldn't work, but you have to dream. Circa 1968, another Deville. I mean, how much does this look like a Carrera, a Hoya Carrera? It's insane. It's crazy. The layout is just there. Also love the serifs on the Deville typeface there. It's really charming. 5007 equals not rare. Orange hand, I agree. Again, please tag me in the chat if you want to get my attention. I'm sorry that I'm missing you all here. Watch and Pray says Frankenmaster. I would totally do it though. Keep the movements, keep the watches, of course, but I like the idea of having the caliber in a newer watch. That would be quite nice. This is charming, yeah. As 73 Math says, feels just like a Carrera from back in the day. Very elegant, dress-inspired, dress-oriented. 1968 feels like a watch of its time in so many ways. We're already on lot 110. This is going pretty well. What's the page 55? Oh no, we've been running for 100 minutes and we're not even halfway through. Jeez, like, how much does this guy talk? He asks himself. It's ridiculous. So I'm assuming the Deville was a down market man on the moon. I'm sure it would be, Forbin. Yes, there were all sorts of different price brackets. I think at this stage, were we talking 1968? No, I mean, we were not there yet, but very soon after, once the moon watch became really popular, I would imagine the prices of them went up, and some of these pieces could be. How much does this guy talk? Steve, yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't get it. I don't know how I do it. Caffeine helps. Right, now we jump into the quirks of the 70s. Taking a hit from the coffee again. On the right-hand side, we have a mega quartz. Watch the interview with Roger Smith of Hodinkee, with Hodinkee, and he talks about this watch. It was one of the most accurate Swiss-made quartz movements back in the day. It was ridiculous how accurate it was. And the battery would run out within like 7 months. Sam, no, I have a large bladder and very good kidneys, so I'm good. These are all constellations, I think. We love a good constellation. This is from 1973. And we moved to the earlier references from the 60s and the 50s. We saw these Paipans, the Paipan aesthetic, and these crazy deco-esque lugs that just made them so popular. These are everywhere, by the way. I mean, check out eBay. If you want to get a good value piece to just enjoy, Constellations, Seamasters, they're all over the place. If you're based in the UK, there are so many of them. It's insane. Vintage Boy saying, please sell my watch. You talk well. I too talk well. Hey, I could try. Sure thing. If you'd like to bring it up, I'll spruik it to death if you like. But this Mega Quartz, again, it's one of the most. It's not a pretty watch. It really isn't. You get this watch to enjoy the quartz accuracy of its time. Stardust. It's actually got an aventurine. Oh, cool. It's got an aventurine crystal. Stardust dial. Aventurine is a cool stone. Okay, moving on to. Oh no. Come on, PDF. Work with me here, darling. Right. Now we have some more strange ones. 1947. Cosmic Moon Phase Triple Calendar. I like this. That's very charming. And a Patek Philippe. Yeah, we're jumping to some Pateks. Tao is joining us. Welcome, Tao. Did I see Carl joining us? First day skiing. Wow. Hope you're enjoying yourself, Carl. Yeah, it's fantastic. Great to have you all here again. Those of you who are watching, we're going to start moving on to other pieces in a second. I think most of us are probably not that interested in the Piagets of this world. But again, the prices are very reasonable for what they are, right? Tiger's Eye stone dial. I almost lost it during the Philips auction the other day because of the Tiger's Eye. That was funny. Patek on the left, 2. Is it? This is an Omega, would you believe? But there are a few more. I think there are a few more Pateks. Let's move on, carry on through here. Another pocket watch. This is pretty nice. I do love this photograph. Piaget. It's impressive. I don't even know the age of it. Let's have a look. 1980s, between 20 and 25. Good Lord. Fine and rare, my favorite word. 18 karat gold, triple calendar moon phase, skeletonized pocket watch. One thing I love about these cases, I think the Breguet coin edging is just so beautiful. It's one aesthetic that is so functionally brilliant, but also just so practical to use. You know, oh my God, what's going on here in the chat? Tao, best watch YouTube going at it again. No, Tao, please, you flatter me. Thank you. And Mr. C, $1. God, you guys are great. Henrique saying, yeah, it is a gorgeous piece. I'll leave it on the screen for a little while for us to enjoy. Skeletonized, everything's been hand finished. And John, thank you so much. Blue shirt must go babysit. Don't worry, we'll still be going on for another, I would say, hour and a half at least. And we're going to be getting to the Rolexes very soon and APs and whatever else. At the very end, we start, enjoying it. So blue shirt, hurry back if you get a chance. Keep me on mute in a tab and then just flick between, that's the joy. The coin edging on these pieces, I love. It's aesthetically beautiful, but it's so practical as well. When we're talking about something that you're handling in your hand, that's why Breguet used it, because it's grip. You can grip the watch a lot easier, and it's just, yeah, Henrique, that's good. It's like fluting, but on a more subtle level, Beautiful piece, though, absolutely stunning. I love they've done the dial here, the moon phase. Again, it's not a watch that all of us would probably wear on a daily basis, between 20 and 25 grand. But every single bridge, everything's been addressed here, hand finished. It's gorgeous. And we have some more Piagets and JLCs. That's cool. Hitting fisherman's friends. You care for rare. God, the way they use that word, it needs to be eliminated out of the brochure. The whole category should be gone. The idea of rare. Tao, yes, it's going to be a good show tomorrow on the Flip and Zippo page. I don't know if Flip and Zippo is still with us, but it should be a good time. If I'm still conscious, I hope. It's been a hell of a week for me. I don't know how I'm doing this right now. Caffeine. All right, so now we have 18 solid yellow gold Piaget Altiplano. So Altiplano, I think they still have the record at the moment, modern watchmaking, with the thinnest movement. The Altiplano thin is the thinnest watch movement currently. Or was it Bolivar? I never get it right. Very interesting, though. And then on the right-hand side, we have a Jlc Reverso from the 2000s, accompanied by box paperwork. I mean, the prices are still very reasonable, which is nice. This is a 5022 porcelain dial. Gotta love a good porcelain dial. Patek Calatrava from the 1990s. Nice piece, not bad. And then next to it, a 1970s variant of a Patek. Funny how the 1970s models, I think the Ellipse was one of the big sellers from Patek back then. And this was riding on the coattails of it. I look at this and I see a Cartier. What would be a good example of a Cartier that had this? I'm so bad with my Cartier names. So yeah, help me. It's a rare steak again. Raymond, don't worry. I don't know what the Rolexes are going to be like, but I think we'll be seeing, please don't tell me this is rare. 2009, good. They don't say rare. Between how much and what? 5711 Nautilus. Between 30 and 40 is the predicted price. I mean, this has just gone out. It's just insane. I'm sorry. It's just ridiculous. What has happened over the last, 2 years? What has happened to this watch that's made it so in demand? It just loses. I mean, I do appreciate it. I think the way they've adjusted. Power asking the question. Thanks for the super chat. Rolex OP41, Breitling Navi Timer B01. Take the 41. Take the OP41, I think. B01 is nice. They're completely different. I mean, the B01 is a reissue, right? The OP41, the modern take. If it was me, given the opportunity, I would go Tiffany blue. I love that baby blue color. B01, nah, it's a different category altogether. I think you would enjoy the OP a bit more. It's more timeless, depending on if it's your first watch or if it's something that you have. If you've just started out in this hobby, go for the Rolex. If you are quite seasoned and you know this hobby pretty well, enjoy a reissue. It's in a different category. They are very different areas. They're both awesome watches, but for different reasons. No, I do appreciate this watch. I've been able to wear a 5711. It's a nice piece compared to the AP Royal Oak. The bracelet could use a bit of work. The clasp could use a lot of work. But I just find it abysmal that this is going between 30 and 40 grand at the moment. And I don't know what it is. I don't know how all of a sudden people suddenly woke up to this. and I've gone ballistic for it. What I do like about this reference, though, the whole Nautilus is it's very much the refined Royal Oak. You know, the Royal Oak was the prototype, kind of developmental. Here we see a watch that is now streamlined. It's much more. Everything's more congruent. It understands itself better. The end links, the mid links, and how they pair with the bezel. There's a better relationship here. The wings, the shoulders on either side. I don't know, something that you can either love or hate, but it is a cool watch. I just don't. The prices doesn't work for me at all. Questions. So B01 is not a reissue. In-house movement Navi timer. I thought it was just a recreation of that. We saw a 60s era reference earlier on. I thought we were talking about it's just the in-house movement Navi timer. Sorry, Mason. Can you correct me? Can you give me more information? The 806. Thank you. Sorry, Enrique. See what happens. Me and my reference numbers. Raymond saying I bought the new 5795 for £5,000. Then and now it is ridiculously priced. Raymond, yeah, it's a funny thing. Hey, demand is a very, very funny thing. It's a nice watch, not worth the price in my books, I'm afraid. Okay, so I've learned something. If I don't zoom out, the screen doesn't seem to flash as much. Okay, this is quite cool. This is something that you might not know. I hope I'm getting this right. This is one of the first annual calendars that Patek ever did, I think, in this model. Also, speaking of Raymond's Patek that he picked up, I can imagine how much you can get a big return on that watch now. Cheapers. Again, sorry about that mix-up. 806 and B01. I can't even picture what the B01 looks like now, thinking about it. The 806 was the model that came to mind at first. I still say OP. If you've just started out in this hobby, go for the OP. You won't regret it. It's just such a great practical model. Speaking of colors, yeah, we can definitely talk about that at a later stage. So this being one of the first annual calendars I think they ever made, the reference 5036 extracts the archives between 18 and 22. This is all white gold, pusher tool. Not a watch for everyone. A bit classical. Let's move on to the next. I don't know what we have. Oh, geez, this is like an original reference 96. 1937. I would imagine this is one of the first reference 96 Calatravas we saw. That's pretty cool. I like that. Okay, comments. Let's see. Tao, I have zero respect for people who pay current price for Nautilus. It's just cheap behavior. It is, yeah. I mean, it's sad. It is quite sad. I mean, Tao, if we don't know, Tillman is a man who owns a 1995 Lunga 1, the first Lunga 1. That's an awesome bragging right, and I love mentioning it every time. It's a very peculiar thing. It's just people want what they can't have, and they're going ballistic for it. And I think it's just way, way too much. Moving on, Megan saying, no comparison in my view between the AP and the 57. Sister wears both. AP bracelet has, I mean, yeah, you can't compare the bracelets between the two. AP is such a stunning, it's a really interesting watch. For me, it's like the perfect marriage. You love it the one day, you hate it the next. That's how I feel about the AP design-wise. And talk about the build quality. It's a brick, absolutely solid. And Sam saying it starts at 18, but tax it's 25. Still, it's absolutely nuts. Raymond saying he sold his Nautilus for about 7.5 before I left to go to USA. Yeah, it's nuts. I tell you, the demand for them now, and the Aquanaut is even worse. If I'm not wrong. Anyway, a 1937 Calatrava, reference 96. Very charming piece. I do love the aesthetic. You got it. If you want to win me over, put quarter Arabics on the dial, and you'll win. Very nice. 33 mils. Sorry, I'm not going to zoom out. I'm going to force myself to keep it steady. Right. First Rolex, a very rare gentleman stainless steel Oyster Perpetual. Right. Double Swiss gilt chapter ring, reference 5500. So this being basically an Air King. This is a 34 millimeter Air King that had an Explorer dial put on it. And it's this is such a good condition model too. I'm going to leave this on the screen. I love the rivet bracelet. Okay. I'm missing you all here in the chat. Again, Sam correcting himself, 23 grand. Nuts. 3912, not 369. BDev, that's so good. I love it. And Jean-Claude, the B01 is Breitling's finest production chrono movement. I'm trying to remember what it looks like. I have an image, a faint image in my head of what it is. 43 mil size. Oh, God, me and my references, I tell you, I'm the worst. Ted's Cornish Watch Reviews, welcome. And to everyone else who's joining us, pleasure having you all here. And yeah, we're going to chat about this little gem in a second. Sam Ray, I love the show and the community. Oh, it's an absolute pleasure, man. Really, you don't have to mention it. It's an absolute joy doing this. I hope to do a push-up contest with you one day. God, how many can I do? I can do 50 in a setting. I think that's my max. I have to pause at about 40 and just hang time a bit. But 50 is probably my max at the moment. It's not very good, but getting there. 3 protein shakes a day helps. So this again, reference 5500 Air King. This is a 34 millimeter case, wouldn't you believe? And it's in such good nick. I love the layout. Just small things that I enjoy about this reference is I think the super precision at the base is very nice. The Explorer text at the top is also really clean and interesting. And this model, again, is from 1963, exclamation point, so that's important. You notice how it has a double Swiss printing on the dial. I'm not going to zoom in because the screen's probably going to glitch out. But you notice there's actually a little Swiss printing underneath the dial, and you have Swiss made on there as well. Really cool. Between 8 and 10, that's quite a reasonable price for what this watch is. I don't know if it comes with box and papers. No. I don't know so much about very rare either. That's a little bit of an overstatement. God, I hate that word. It's just so overused. But yeah, it's a gem. Really is nice. I speak about the Explorer so many times. It's criminal, actually. This aesthetic to me is just, I love it. I really do. 1016 we're going to have a look at in a moment, though. More talk about the B01. Is the movement, not the model? Oh, okay. Mason, thank you. Thank you for clarifying. The B01 is the movement, not the watch. What is my take on the Cartier Santos, the new one? Is it worth the price new? Good question. Alejo, I hope I got your name right. If I had the choice of Santos, the modern Santos, I would go for the skeletonized Santos. I think it's a stunning modern take on the classic. Have a look at it if you have Google close. Skeletonized Santos basically uses the Romans that we know in such a way that you can see through them, but they also act as the mounting points for the movement itself. Very stylized. I love that aesthetic. And there's a gorgeous, I think some of them are loomed too, like fully loomed dials as well. That's the one I would go for. Something with a bit of flair. Cartier is great when you look at the tanks and everything else. But if you want something that feels more modern, with a bit more of a modern punch, I would say Skeletonized Santos, given the opportunity. And Megan's saying nice Air King. Yeah, it's great. I don't know if they even mention Air King, do they? They don't. They don't actually mention that this is supposed to be an Air King watch with an Explorer dial. Very interesting, though. Love it. Oh, now we go to the real stuff. This is a 1964 1016 underline gilt. So you notice here it has underline on the text. I love this. I mean, the listings are so nice. You can really appreciate the watch in its glory. Underline was thought to have been used by Rolex during the period as an indication of a different luminous used to radium, accompanied by original box chronometer certificates. Between 12 and 18, it's expected to go for. And hell, this watch has been worn, has been beaten up, but still nice. And the idea of that chapter ring does tighten it up a lot. Do really, really enjoy it. But again, if 36 mils is too small for you, then this watch you'll have to give a miss. That's the only problem. These watches do wear small, I think. But overall, the rivet bracelets, I love how they did the if I was in charge of Rolex's design department today, I would try and bring this back. The idea of a solid end link that integrates with the bracelet just feels so much more oyster-ish. It has this compactness to the way it works. Very charming, stunning piece. And I'm missing you in the comments. Again, tag me if you want to get my attention. And they want to fool someone into a 1016. That's the thing, though. I mean, what's hilarious is that these watches used to go for such good money back in the day. Now, between 12 and 18 grand. It's insane how much these prices have gone up. And it's like, it's you now having to sit back and say, is this good sense to decide to pick up a watch like this? For what the price is going for. Between, what did I say again? Between 12 and 18 grand. What can you buy new in that price point? You can buy, hell, the Ed White Speedmaster, say. The modern Ed White with the 321 movement and everything else. It's, yeah, have a plan and stick to it, Eric says. Yeah, for sure. Sorry, I'm missing you guys again. 7-inch wrist, perfect for me. It is, yeah, it's a good size, Ted. My wrist is about 6 3/4. It's a very nice size. It fits so well. I don't think you need to justify whether or not you should wear a 36 mil watch. There is something just elegant about it today, even today. Even though the common wristwatch size is between 40 and 42, there is something else about a 36 mil piece that you can enjoy. Mr. C, back when I was in my 20s, I did 50 push-ups every day 30 years ago. Yeah, I mean, something. It's not something I focus on every day, got to say. Got to mix it up. We've got to mix it up. Tara saying vintage watches are a different ballgame altogether, more sensible than buying a modern watch with 100% markup on secondhand. Yeah, true. That's true. They are. It's a different area completely, for sure. And a completely different kettle of fish from me talking about who's reputable, who can you trust when it comes to the watch's condition and quality, and is the movement okay? Has it been checked over? Is everything correct? Are the end links the right? You know, all the stuff. Is the box original? Is the paperwork? There's so many other factors and facets to it. This is the 1016 we all know. I would imagine from the 80s. Let's see. Wow, 69. Jeez, that's in good shape. Frogfoot matte dial. Okay. Between 9 and 11,000 for this. Yeah, I really dig it. I really do. Megan has one of these, and it has serifs on its numerals, which is insane. It looks so good. Yeah, it's a charming watch. I think they just got the proportions so right here with the hour hand, so nicely spaced. The dial. My argument with understanding the 1016 and why I think it's so appealing, it's the roundness of the numerals on the dial. It speaks so well with how the case has been done. That's where I think the detractor is with the modern variant. The modern 39 mil is that it's very squared off numerals next to these, which are more rounded. It's pleasing. You can look at it, you can glance at it, and it feels correct in the way it's been done. Yeah, lots of little factors. I've spoken about this watch to death. Everyone knows the general appeal. Tourista says, come to Greece to party. Yeah, that'll be fun, right? Carl's saying, when you're 6'1", 225 and stocky, 36 looks small. I am 6'1", and I'm under 200 pounds, which is bad. That's what I'm trying to work. You see, I just want to put weight on again. Honestly, that's my issue at the moment. I want to get back up to 200 plus pounds if I can. It's difficult. I'm a spindly guy. Nice piece though. It's a charming watch. It could be a one and done Rolex. I think it's just a pity that they are so expensive for what they are. Just remember, it's a jazzed up Oyster Perpetual. The dial looks cool. It has a Mercedes hand. It's the professional watch in the line, but essentially it's an Oyster Perpetual with a charming dial. And that's it. It's yeah, interesting piece. For under 200, 6'1" is a healthy BMI. It is nasty. You're right. I'm about 185. I see. I don't do pounds. I would say I think I've just crossed the 80 kilogram border, which is not very good. Right. I'm getting there. Slowly but surely getting there. Give me a couple more months. A rare, here we go again. Small font Daytona, 1966, 6239 with the upside down reference serial. Reverse Panda. Okay, so 6239, this being the same reference as Paul Newman's Paul Newman. And yeah, it's a nice piece, legible. What's the price they wanted to go for again? Between 25 and 35. Yeah, it'll go for more. Does it have box and papers? Sorry, I'm scrolling. No, it doesn't look like it. Lot 130. The condition of this watch is excellent. Really does look nice. Mooseman, sorry, I missed your point about the Zeno watch earlier. I want to have a look at it. I've never seen the brand before. I need to have a look at them. Tao saying, imagine the 1016, 39 mil or 40 mil with loom filled applied markers, numerals. It would be very nice. It would be very, very nice. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much opportunity. They have lots of creative opportunity. And I feel like that baton is going to be passed over to Tudor to work on. Like the Ranger. They could do, I feel like they're going to do something amazing with the Ranger reference very soon. Dear Artifact, if he's still watching us, he loves it, and he's done write-ups about it on his page. Again, check out his Instagram. And yeah, be interesting to see what happens. I feel Rolex is going one way. They're focusing on upsizing. They're focusing on their modern language, and Tudor is getting all the creative opportunities, depending on whether they want to take it or not. Samurai, it's okay. 5'6", 155. Don't worry. Weight and height, I guess, is a relative thing. I mean, depending on your height, it's good. BMI, I think, is very important. Also, body fat percentage. Keep an eye on that. Nice point, though, Mason. Would be very cool. Chili Prepper is joining us. Getting my weight back on, wearing my new 2013 Batman. Chili Prepper, you're based in Brighton. Great to have you here. Welcome, all of us. Yeah, so nice reference. Juan says he enjoys this. It is a very attractive piece. I find it interesting that the batons on the dial look more like from later 60s, kind of 70s references. There was so much chopping and changing when we looked at the aesthetics of these. I didn't get past Love Pump, Hans says. You might need to help me there with that reference. Talking about pump pushers or something a bit more explicit. Yeah, but the stainless steel bezel is very nice. The condition, again, I'm not going to zoom into this watch because it'll probably cause the screen to glitch. But the case is in good shape. The bracelet's nice. I think I've handled the 6263, which is the variant with the bezel, and it was a screw down. It wasn't a pump pusher. Yeah, not bad. These watches are like 37 mils. Remember, they're very small. Anyway, nice piece. Oops. Okay, now we're jumping to a 1675 Eagle Beak by the looks of things. That's pretty cool. Let's see the reference here. So 1961, 1675 PCG gilt chapter ring, exclamation points. That's nice. So this is quite an early reference of the 1675. The way they were playing around with eagle beaks and squared off guards, and they didn't know what was cracking back then, but it's a goodie. The reference that's the most desirable is the one with the small GMT hand, I think. That's one of the earliest references in this line. But everything looks correct. I see the hands, they look matching to the dial. Good condition. Interesting fade to the red. It's always the red on these bezels that fade, Let's see. Tal's saying, isn't it strange that the bug crisis really doesn't seem to affect the watch market? Yeah, I mean, it's down to, I think a lot of people are just investing more time into this hobby, actually. They are starting to look at how they can put their funds into watches in a way, collecting-wise. It's just such a great distraction. I mean, that's the thing. That's why I love doing this. This hobby, to me, is such an awesome distraction. It is work. It used to be a hobby. Now it is pretty much work for me, but still, it's always fun. It's entertaining. Granted, I need days off. I need time to just recollect. But it is incredible, got to say. Compared to other industries, watches, they're keeping on selling. And the litmus test, I believe, was when we saw the Tudor Black Bay Navy Blue release in June, July. That's when we started seeing just how much people wanted something, because the watch releases have been so slim at the beginning of the year, And yeah, from there we saw Rolex releases, and other brands have just been jumping on it. I mean, this year, Moses Streamliner was one. We saw the 321, I think, introduced by Omega with their Speedmaster. We saw the Snoopy and so many other models. Brands have really gone to town this year. It's always entertaining keeping up with the watch news. Nice to have a box with this reference too. Nice piece. Eagle Beak. I love it. I think it's a very charming element to this watch. Bezel looks meaty, like raw muscle. It does, right? I was going to say fabric, kind of like the underside of your mouth. Yeah, very nice. And just small things like I think these references had serifs on their numerals on these bezels. Really clean. I want to know what everyone else thinks. Raymond's saying, I've been collecting for 45 years. It's a disease. It is very much a disease for a lot of us. Sorry that I'm missing you in the chat. I mean, try and carry on. This is awesome. 1967 5513 meters first matte dial with domed zinc sulfide luminous zinc sulfide luminous, accompanied by original box, handwritten guarantee, sold in 1969, and anchor. Ooh, so this is a full set. I dig. You can't go wrong with a 5513. What is the date again? 1967. Golden years. Oh, I love it. Even the case, this watch hasn't been polished. Look at the chamfers on the facets on the edges here. It's great. I'm not going to zoom in. in case of screen glitching and everything there. I don't know what's with the zinc sulfide and all that, but yeah, we will carry on. Yeah, this hobby, it is a disease. I think it is quite addicting. What I try and do, the way I analyze a lot of these is sitting back and think to myself, would it be a watch that I would wear on a daily basis? Is it not something that I'm just enjoying? My rationale is, can I look at a watch and then 10 months later go back to it and feel the same way about it? I think that's such a good way to avoid impulse buying. Force yourself to spend more time. Set it as a wallpaper and just keep going back and looking at it every day. How do you feel after all that time? If you feel the same way, jump on it. Otherwise, give it a miss. This is a stunning. I'm going to try and zoom in. Shield your eyes. I think the screen's going to flash. Oh, God, that's terrible. Rivet bracelets, very charming. I don't know what's the deal with the zinc sulfide XYZ. Maybe someone can help correct us with those details. But the rivet bracelet, just again, look at the case here. This is such a good example of a no polish case. It's important. If I was buying, I find it sad because I'm very much eager to find a 14060 from 1993 birth year watch, and all the ones I see, 1995, 97, whatever it is, they all have these polished lugs, and I hate it. When I don't see a facet on the edge, I click off it. I don't look at it again. It's sad that these watches get glammed up for the sake of sales, where the person who's really interested, the collector or someone who knows a bit more about these steel sports models, they don't want them to be touched, right? Yeah. Speaking of zinc copper supplements, good for body. Really, Sam Ray, thanks for that. I haven't jumped on that yet. I'm all about aminos at the moment. I'm looking into amino acids, much more. Isolating and using amino acids more effectively in the body. Yeah, so it's a gorgeous reference, I think, as an example goes. I mean, the domed crystal, the dial is an excellent nick. Speaking of zinc and everything, Ted's leaving us. What's the time? 12:15. God, thanks for joining us, Ted. It's been a good time. Next week, I hope, if I'm still conscious, we're going to do Wrist Shot Week. Send in your email of your submission to me, and we can have a good show. Next week is quite a big week for yours truly, actually, next weekend. Nice looking piece. The rivet bracelets from back then, the integrated end link, and also that coronet on the weight is just gorgeous. Stretch rivet bracelets. So many fun things. Okay, I'm zooming out. Oh, God. I'm not so much of a fan of creatine, Sam Ray. I've never taken creatine in the past. I know it's good. It can be good. I'm just not someone who sticks to it. I'm more for, I really just focus on whey isolate, getting the best quality whey isolate possible with no sugar, nothing, no carbohydrates. And I eat a high-fat diet too. Don't tell anyone. I'm very much a keto-phile. I love ketogenics. Right, so we have a Tudor snowflake that we all love, reference 94110 from 1982. Gotta love a snowflake. And yeah, it's just a gem. I handled a very rare one a couple of months back, a South African Navy issue. They only made about 12 of them. I believe there are only 12 of them in the world. And yeah, it's like you photograph them when you zoom, touristas. Yeah, it's true, right? It's a good point. I love that. Megan's saying it's 1:15 in Paris. Megan, I don't know how you're doing it. I really hope you're taking something that's, yeah, Eric, you hit the nail on the head there. Did I mention to you what I'm saying? I'll talk about it in a second. I don't know how you're still awake, Megan. You should be fast asleep, really, after what you've been through this week. I hope you got your diet back too, Megan. I never asked. Eric Bell saying MyProtein. I discovered MyProtein in the UK. Absolutely bloody amazing. Anyone in the UK here? Insane. MyProtein, the way. They have these active enzymes that help digesting the protein so much better. Protease, lipase, all of that. It's insane. It's so good. Best protein I've ever tried. And I've always been an Optimum Nutrition junkie. Hellishly overpriced for what you're getting. MyProtein is very good. Eric, I don't know if I mentioned it to you, but yeah, it's great. All of you guys who are awake at 1:15, I appreciate it. I really do. So yeah, what do you think of the Tudor Snowflake? I mean, this watch had an ETA 2824, I think, right? And it's going for what, 2.5, 3, 4.5, 5. God. Yeah, they're charming. I'm not a fan of the Cyclops on this model. Breaks it up a bit much. But yeah, gotta love it. Gotta love the old school aesthetic. I so wish that we got to see a Black Bay 58 with this aesthetic. Many more people. The thing is, it's too much of a risk, I think, for Tudor to decide to do it. They did it with the Pelagos. But I mean, they could make such a killing. They could win some people over with their original. It's an original aesthetic, cooler than the 58. Yeah, Enrique, I agree. I think it's all Tudor, right? So the only thing that's Rolex is the bezel, the case, but I mean the dial, hands, just so unique. This is the way. Forbin glasses. Oh God, that's so funny. Has Thomas Burnett fallen asleep, making a Nogroni? What is that, Megan? Can you tell us what a Nogroni is, please? Lost goose. My wingman. That's so good. So Megan, are you Maverick? That's so funny. I love it. Right, so moving on next. I'd love to know what a Nogroni is. That sounds like something very, very bad. Don't get me plowed with Negronis. I do very bad things. Right, so what do we have here? 1969 7016. Gotta love our 7016s. Bleached bezel. This watch has been hammered on the left-hand side. And on the right, we have a 1992 79090. Rolls off the tongue well. I don't see rare next to any of these attached. Yeah, well, she meant Negroni, but I just like ripping in a bit. I like having a bit of fun. Bleached as, for sure. Sam Ray, I think 007 James Bond should wear Tudors. You know what? That's such a good point. The only issue now is that the highest bidder, and Omega has been there since 93. So it's Tudor door. It's funny, touristas. Megan is a trooper. I think we can all agree. She has been injured badly this week. She's been sliced and diced on a hospital, on a theater table, and is still watching us right now. So I don't know what I mean. I've never had appendicitis. I don't know how bad it gets, but never say never. It seems like it's catching. It's going around. Oh, Thomas is awake. He's good. Awesome. Okay, so these are awesome. These Tudors are nice. I also wanted to mention that this format would look so good on modern Tudor references. Maybe they don't have to go the full way with the snowflake dial. Maybe they can incorporate what they did in the 90s and the 80s with these triangles at the quarters. That would look great as well, don't you think? Nogroni as a mocktail. Okay. As in the alcohol-free version. Nogroni. Okay, I'm getting it now. Thanks, Megan. So I'm actually the slow one here. I'm not doing the typos. It's bad of me. Now we have a Chronograph. Now we saw a Chronograph featured at the Phillips auction, and the price was just out of this world. Rare, fine, collectible, attractive. No. Between 8 and 12 grand, acceptable. 1954. I mean, the Chronograph deserves all the merit. That's the watch on the left-hand side. It's the one that began the GMT, began the Submariner, and it's a classic. I actually find these more appealing than the Submariners, really. It's got an X factor. Everyone looks at it and says, nah, Submariner, move on. But it's not. It's the precursor. It's real relative. Goose is back. God, I'm loving this. I'm loving these references. Speaking of which, the new Top Gun looks freaking amazing. Have you seen the trailer for it? Wow, it looks so good. Looking forward to that. I think they had to cancel it because of the bug. Theaters. I feel sorry for theaters. And then on the right-hand side, I just avoided an original 1680 from 1970. A Mark... God, me and my Romans, Mark IV dial. I'm the worst. If you want to get me down, give me Roman numerals. I'm terrible. And Latin, can't do it either. Gentleman stainless steel. This one looks like it's seen the wars, but you got to love a matte dial red sub. 1680 between 9 and 11. These are very generous listings, don't you think? Can't wait for the new Top Gun. It's going to be good. I'm afraid no Tudor will ever have Mercedes hands again. Forward, no, I don't believe so. I just mean to say that the dial aesthetic would look very nice. I don't know so much with the snowflake hand that they seem to incessantly use all the time now, but I do like this dial. I think it would be quite a unique take. All right, moving on. I'm sure we have more Roli to look at. Ooh, nice. 1989 5513 L serial. Oh, I love this. This is the last of the last, ladies and gents. This is a sapphire crystal, has the more updated movement. Still has tritium. That's cool. I do like this. The final reference of, and I think it's also as a gloss dial, if I remember right. Help me out here, please. I know Megan is an absolute pro with 5513s. So it's a gloss dial, sapphire crystal, still got tritium as you would expect through, but this is very much a 14060, right? The only difference is the reference number. Probably one of the rarest in this category because it's good. So many tags of me in the chat. I dig it. The oldest fast jet pilot in the world, Tom Cruise, Mark. And Samurai says you should play your guitar roving. If I do buy an acoustic for myself, you will be hearing a guitar. I think it'll be nice. Maybe we can queue up some requests and see how that goes. God, it'll force me to practice, which is good. I haven't played an acoustic guitar for over 4 years. How sad is that? I've got a Fender Stratocaster. Playing that unplugged, it's not an acoustic guitar, as most of you know. Yeah, I dig this model. And just small touches, like I think the 5513 still had serifs on the bezel insert. That's another telltale sign. The case also looks a little bit different to the 14060. L serial, final year. Okay, so I guessed right. Between 6 and 8 grand. I think it'll go for more than that. Box papers, no. Where the hell do these boxes and papers go? What is wrong with these people? How can you lose that stuff? Nylon string, Hans. Rain song, Eric. I can play Rain song. I'll definitely do that. Touristas, absolute pleasure. I don't know if you're here, if you're leaving us, but it's been a joy. These shows are always fun. This just serves as a backdrop for talking points around whatever's going on. So Chronocraze says, ooh, hold on. He's a commander from Top Gun. Junior Johnson's with us. Ooh, I haven't even seen you, Junior. I'm sure I saw you earlier. Hold on a sec. Chronocraze says, I personally would not mind a modern Snowflake reissue. Don't think it would necessarily tread over the Pelagos territory. The issue is, I mean, the cases would have to be different because, Rolex probably doesn't allow them to use those cases anymore. They wouldn't give them that opportunity. Yeah, talking about Night Play Blackbird. That was one of the first songs I learned. Yeah, I'm big into Zeppelin, gotta say. Acoustic, it's always good. Okay, moving on. 5513 is cool. Sorry about the glitching screen. Ooh, nice. So now we have a transitional. Okay, so it's a 16800 with a matte dial, 1981. This is a nice example. Wow. Looks like it's going a bit tropical too. And just notice, again, the lugs, we see that the case is in good nick. I really like this reference. So this is right before we saw our 16610 out there. This still had an acrylic crystal, I think. An absolute, it's such a peculiar beast. Love that dial, those applied marks. Right, so I'm missing, sorry for this. Thank you for the super chat, Thomas. Again, there's so much going on here. Thank you so much, Thomas. I hope you're still awake and with us. I'm going to call you Goose from now on, I think. Very good. Yeah, and the rest, I'm missing you all in the chats, but I try as always. So, what do we think about the transitional 16800? Again, I just love the fact that these watches look so mint in a way. Everything looks correct. The hands are good. The case is all well kept. They aren't over polished. The bezel still has the pip. I mean, it's awesome. These have been well looked after. Box or papers? No. Why is it that there are no box and papers? I don't get it. But Megan says it's a good buy. I think there's something quite charming about this. I mean, the 1680 is all hype at the moment, right? Everyone wants a 1680. This is your way to get into a 1680 without spending the stupid money. You're getting a bit more of a modern take, but I mean, for the blind eye, you would swear that this is a 1680 unless you know it's a transitional. Yeah. I have long nails, right hand, short left, Hans. Don't we all? Yeah, the problem is with the vitamins and the supplements and everything I'm taking, my nails grow like within a week. I have to cut them again. It's the worst. Playing guitar with long fingernails on the frets. Yeah, pet peeve. Right, so we got some more. 1968, 16800 transitional. No bracelet for 6,000 to 7,000. No. Where are the boxes and papers with these? 1991, 14060. So, I mean, and replacement hands. I mean, what has happened to these models? I feel like of all the Rolex, the vintage Rolex, the Neo D3, yes, lots of D3 Samurai, the highest amount as possible, if I can get it. Coming out of Africa, got to tell you, you need your vitamin D3. So, why is it that the 14060 is the most butchered out of all of them? I feel like every time I see one that has replacement hands, the case has been absolutely freaking butchered. The bracelet, there's always something wrong with them. It really irritates me because this is the reference that I want. You know, if I can find a birthier version, that'll be awesome. Oh, another 1675. I like this. Is that a replacement dial and replacement hands I spy? Right. Yes, it is. I mean, you look at the price. With service hands, yep, accompanied with Rolex box booklets. That's nice. From 2003. God, that's sad. That is sad. But then we're talking about Kramer's now. Beach. Oh, what is going on? What is going on? I'm missing you all here. There's talking about calling Goose. Yeah. Thomas, we're going to call you Goose. That should be your nickname. You should call yourself Thomas Goose Burnett from now on, I think. 100,000 units. Nefarion's joining us. It's good to know. Welcome. 1675, very common. It is, right? But it's such a travesty. You know, this watch, if it had the original dial, the original hands, it would go for triple that. And I mean, it doesn't have the original box papers or anything. It's been butchered. And then next to it, we have the Deep Sea. This is a cool piece. Really think on the right-hand side that it's a Submariner with more visual complexity. It's something you can admire a lot more. It's got a domed crystal, so you can appreciate the light play. The colors are stunning. I think the transition from blue to black, one of the best attempts of making a more unique dial. The highlighted green Deep Sea, the helium, the gas, even, I mean, me with my like 6 and whatever the hell, 7, you could say almost 7-inch wrist, I can wear this piece at 44 because of how the dial has been arranged next to the ring lock escape and everything there. No Cyclops. Excellent point, Enrique. It's something about this watch that I think just wins. There's some great examples. The first reference of the ceramic Sea Dweller, such a good model. It's 40 mils, but also doesn't have Cyclopses, and they kept it plain and simple. Now we're talking about guitars and Kramer's and instruments, and I'm losing it. Tag me in the chat if you want to get my goose with the golden eggs. If you want me to catch up, here we go. This is when it gets a bit bad. Right. 2016, 114060, a one-off commissioned by the Bamford Watch Department. Customized, no crown guard, California sandwich dial. Ooh. I don't know so much. There are some excellent brands out there that do these kinds of things. Tempus Machina, it's a brilliant, I think one of the best examples of this kind of approach. They've basically taken a 14060 and just reworked it completely to make it look like a 6538 big crown. Tempus Machina. I'll put it in the chat. What the hell? I've got a free hand. Tempus Machina. Check that out. And I don't know what they called it, but they put a bigger crown in. A California dial. No, sorry, Bamford. Doesn't work. And what have they done to the case? It looks like they've actually sandblasted the case on a rubber strap. I can see Mark is very interested in this. Thomas is the golden child. He sure is. 73 Math, what a great comment. Thank you. Heretical Junior, thank you for the super chat. I'm so glad you're joining us. I hope you are well. Hope everyone's well. Jeez. It's just unfortunate. I mean, I understand what they're trying to do here. They're trying to play back on those vintage Panerais and those divers of the time. And I guess in a way it pays tribute to the bubble backs of its era with the no crown guards and everything there. But still, it's just what? It's not even a good California dial. These. Okay, moving on. Oh, another one. The Bamford Sea Dweller. Okay, what is this? One-off commissioned. This is the best reference of the Sea Dweller too. No? Oh no, this is the 44. Okay, so this is the standard black 44 mil. I was thinking this was the 40 mil. But Bamford Sea Dweller PVD coated, I think I read. Yeah. Between 12 and 15 it's expected to go for. Yeah. It's not our cup of tea, right? And JJ is the commander of the community. Yeah, he is. He runs the show, right? Yeah, Gina Johnson, good having you here. Just why? I mean, Bamford has done some cool stuff. I think they have done some cool collaborations with like the Snoopy variants, and they've had a bit of fun. But yeah, man, it's hard for me to get my head around how best to describe it. It just, I see what they're trying to do here. It's blackout. It's quite a nice aesthetic, but no. Nicest thing is the missing Cyclops, and that's standard, right? This is the 44 mil. This never had a Cyclops with it. So yeah, the way I can tell is because of the helium, the gas escape valve around it. Okay, moving on. Oh, of course we have to have one of these. All right, let's start the debate going here. We might as well. We've been running the show for 2.5 hours. We're doing pretty well. So the Hulk 116610 LV between 10 and 14. God knows what it's going to go for, actually. So let's have a Y or N about this watch in the chat. The price. I mean, I've seen one of these go for, or try to go for something like £20,000 on eBay the other week, just when it was discontinued. You know, guys trying to chance their arms with the prices of these. Yeah, sorry, I'm missing you in the chat. Everyone's saying no, as you expect. Let's see. Dang, this one Dwayne Rock Johnson. Yes, probably. I'd imagine he would wear it. 12 and 15. Sorry, guys, I'm missing you all here. Rolex service person in California was the first to come up with the California dial. Raymond, thank you for that. I did not know that. And I'm missing so many of you here in the chat. Sorry about that. Lots of no's, yawn. Yeah, I mean, okay, I've said this a couple of times. One of my first like real critique videos back in the day was on the Hulk, and I was very aggressive. I had people really hating me for calling it too green. The bezel on this watch, it looks almost plastic in certain lights. I feel the dial is stunning. The emerald is great, but holy cow, for the prices they're going for. Yeah, there's lots of, I mean, Nefarion loves it. It's my favorite watch, can't help it. I mean, Nefarion loves green, so of course it's a watch for him. But what is going to happen to this piece over time? You realize how collectible this watch is going to become now because it's discontinued. Yeah, and the prices are just, it's just, what's going to happen? It's only going to go up. That's the sad reality, really. These are by no means rare. I mean, they're, God, I use that word. I think I'm going to take a shot every time I say the word from now on. Let's do it. That one, that's like a Freudian slip right there. I'm not going to say that word again. These watches are by no means unique. God, that's also just as bad. It's just as bad. These watches are by no means uncommon. That's better. But still, it's just too much, man. I mean, these have been out since 2010 or something, right? They're all over the show. Yeah. I'll give it to my kids if I ever have them. Megan, that's a very good one. It's very, unless they don't like green, you know. Okay, medium rare. Yeah. So yeah, if I do have a Freudian slip of saying words like rare, unique from now on, I'm going to take a shot. That's the rule. Oh dear, what have I done to myself? Right, some more. 2008, 16, whatever, 116713 LN, two-tone GMT Master Green, Daytona, 116509 racing dial. Yeah, they're okay. Boxes. Good to know that they come with their boxes. I mean, hell. So yeah, the guys are having a good time. I just said it. No, I intended not to. Yes, Eric, and those other words, the six letter word that broke me a couple of months back. Good for retail only, Juan says, talking about the Hulk. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's that rare steak again. When I read comments, it's fine. When I read it it's only when I mention it in passing without thinking, absentmindedly, will I take the shot. So I can say rare now because I'm thinking about it, but otherwise, yeah. Otherwise, I'll be on the floor, passed out. This is a cool one. The Blue Submariner. The two-tone is just such a charming thing. 1989 with a purple dial. Those are important. As long as the biltong is well marinated, I don't mind. Did I say something about that? I don't know what's going on. I've been running the show for 2.5. Forgive me. Is this an oyster quartz? Oh, cool. Check it out. Oyster quartz date. What number are we at? Page 77 of 108. We're doing pretty well. I don't know what is up next, but I think we are reaching the end of the catalog in a way, which is quite refreshing. A sub 3-hour stream. What is going on? You don't often see date oyster quartzes, right? I think they're pretty rare. All undone watches are rare. Get it, BDev? No, I don't. Sorry, you need to be more sarcasm. I can't read. 150 looks like Sarah Jessica Parker's. Really? God, guys, I don't these references. Sorry, I'm slow. Oh, now we have some ladies' date justs. Save the best for last. Okay, we can motor through these. 1986, unless you guys like diamonds. I mean, these are like 33 mils. You can wear them on your pinky fingers. Let's see what else. Another date just, yeah, 1998. Megan, do these interest you? I don't think so. You're more into the 36 to 40 mil watch range. Bjorna says you should really not read those words either, so I say shots every time mentioned. No, then we're dealing with a dead person on this side. Won't be good. Imagine your host just, completely pegging as the show is going on. Salmon dial, yes. So this, not exactly a salmon dial, close, but it's more radiant. It's not flat. What they try to do with a few models around this time, similar to the Air King, was they actually call it salmon dial. Interesting. It was just an effect that they wanted to add. Yeah, 40 mil plus. Yeah, Megan, agree. Okay, well, we've just had a look at some gorgeous vintage models. Now we've got the Domino's Air King. Saving the best for last. Yes or no in the chat. What do you think about the Domino's Air King? I'm gonna start the ball rolling. Sorry, pegging. Yeah, pegging as in kicking the bucket, playing the harp for the first team. What goes up must go. What goes up must go up. Mr. C. Yeah, agree. Right. The rest of the chat, Sarah just had a full day. Okay. Thank you, Sam Ray, for that recommendation. Yes, looks like a Domino's AK Air King. Oh, you love it. Okay. Eric Bell. Eric Bell is really enjoying this at this point, I think. ID Klein. Yeah. So the Domino's Pizza collaboration. It's just like, isn't it strange that the brand had these kinds of partnerships back then, and now today they wouldn't be seen dead with this kind of reference on their dials? What changed? I ask all of you. I put it to you all. What changed? Best Rolex ever, Tar, for free. Yes, Megan, you guys are good. So these were given to managers or something, I think. If they, Domino's franchises, challenge sales program. The Rolex wouldn't be caught dead with this kind of thing on their dials today. So what actually changed? What year is this? I can't even remember. 1999. So what was it? Once they moved, did they? I mean, I don't even know this, but did they change management between then and now? Do they have a new CEO running the show? Because I don't get it. Like this to me, just it's so out of left field. It doesn't feel like the brand at all today. Great question. Yeah, Carl. I mean, that's the whiskey and the coffee talking. I don't even know what I asked. Domino's for the win. You guys are great. Although this one is different than others I've seen with tilted logo, I say more rare than squared. Oy. Had to be one for franchise owners. Yeah. What changed? Brands have much more confidence in their products. And that, I mean, how is that the case? Rolex has been around since like what, the 1913 or whatever. And up until the 1990s, they were still making these tool watches. You think of just how they were bought to be worn and used. And then all of a sudden the switch flipped in like 2007. And then suddenly it's like everything has to be staunch and focused on precision and well made, and everything has to be just so. No levity, no humor, apart from the Milgauss, as we could say. We have the gold. You know what? I'm going to design that, Megan. That's such a good one. That is fantastic. I'm going to do that. I'm going to design the golden arches. Won't be an Air King. The golden arches Milgauss. Ooh, I like that. The M is going to work very well, and I like that. I'm going to do that. I might even do it for tomorrow's Zippo show. Love it. NATO is joining us. Welcome, NATO. We're just looking at a gorgeous, rare, limited edition Domino's Pizza Air King. You've missed all the vintage pieces earlier on, but don't worry. They saved the best for last, the domino effect. You guys are good. The Air King, 14,000. Explorer dial, date. Tudor. I do like this. Wow, this doesn't have a date to it either. 1973, yellow gold, Oyster Perpetual, not bad. Handwritten, guarantee. Box papers. I kind of like this. There's something very Get Carter about it. Golden Arches design, too much wine. Yeah, no, I'm a whiskey drinker tonight, even though I've hardly had any. And just remember, remind me if I say the R word or the anything linked to that. I don't see many of them descriptive. Oh, geez. Speak of the devil. There it is, left-hand side. What? How is this? How is that the case? Jumbo bracelets. What are they? Oh, God. Golden arches on a Milgauss. Okay, I'm going to carry on. What else is next? Tonographs. Okay. Jeez. We really are scraping it now, ladies and gents. So the 1976 Buckley dial. Okay. Hallelujah. Don't know if anyone knows that reference. 18 karat solid yellow golds, 1969 gray sunburst. Okay. Tonographs are cool. We could stay on these for a little while. Tonograph is quite the gem in the selection because it's just, you know, you get to enjoy a date just with Rolex for sardines. Awesome. Okay. Starbucks logo on the new Summit. Yes, I can do that, Mark, for sure. There's so many opportunities, really. You can be so creative. The bark dial. Hold on a sec, Forbin. Did I miss something? Not these. Maybe the last references. Sorry. I'm just motoring through these. We can flick back to a few other references. Yes, Eric. Well, wasn't it originally a Leonard Cohen song? It was, eh? No, it wasn't. I'm pretty sure Buckley did it first, and Leonard Cohen did it was one of his like final hurrahs before he kicked it, before he played harp for the first team. So Tonograph, two-tone. I kind of dig it. It's the Thunderbird, right? I think it'll be more of a Thunderbird with alpha hands, if I remember right. I don't know. I'm losing it here. Okay, now there's gonna be some good models coming up now. These earlier references, I should say. Date just. I'm so glad they don't use they do. They use the R word very often here. Anyone who is watching this, if anyone represents these auction houses, please stop using that word. I beg you. The Phillips auction nearly killed me. It nearly killed Megan, as we know. So all in all, steel Rolex Oyster Date Precision bracelet watch, 1954 gloss black honeycomb dial. Yeah, really nice. Really, really nice. And gentleman stainless steel. Yeah, so more vintage, 1942. I mean, look at this. This was a Second World War watch, basically. We've had a look at field watches. Then that's it, Justin. I mean, that's the point I tried to make with the Phillips show, is that it just ruins the watches everything. If you know, it's no longer. There was a comment that someone actually made. It was a brilliant comment. I think it was Forbin Colossus. Let's get to another watch. Okay, awesome. A sector dial. Cool. Forbin Colossus mentioned this in the chat after the Phillips show, and he said, I'm going to say it, "You are a rare and attractive man to me." My reply back to him was something like, so in Phillips's language, that means I am uncommon and sellable. Damn right I am. You know, it's just, yeah, I think I said those words about 80 times during the show. Is that a stake again? Yeah, it looks like it has a proper little bond clip bracelet too. 1930s, between 3,000 and 5,000. Yeah, I mean, now we're really scraping it, ladies and gents. This is not the watch that everyone goes after. It's like a bubble back, right? Lovely sector. We've got to say the sector dial is beautiful. Surprised they didn't rotate the numerals like you would expect to see at the quarters. And how often do you see a sector dial Rolex? Ever? It's that stake again. Yeah. Megan asking if Thomas is still with us. Yeah. And Eric saying, wrap this up. Don't worry, we will close this off eventually. I do want to have it's nice. I can interact with the chat a bit more before the show ends. I can't believe we might be doing the sub 3 hour for a change. That's impossible. This is nice. So this is like a 1953 6098 with luminous Arabic numerals, blue steel dagger hands. How often do you see blue hands on a Rolex? Look at that dial, man. Why can't they do numerals like this on their watches anymore? And the bracelet, I mean, it's undersized. It looks like, I could swear the bracelet's like 16 mils thick. Isn't that cool? This reminds me of the Chichester, what was it? And Chichester Oyster Perpetual. I did a video about that a while back. And I'm going to hit the last of the whiskey. There's like a drop left. You guys have been bad to me today. This really feels like Rolex would make such a killing if they brought back this. I think I've said it too many times in shows in the past that this whole reference looks stunning. Really does look good. Anyway, catching up with the rest of you here. I am sorry about, hold on a sec. I'm going to do something quickly in the chat. There we go. I don't know what I'm doing. Right. Nice piece. Got to say, the reference is pretty great. I'm going to carry on through to the next. What is it again? 1953, reference 609, luminous Arabic numerals, blue steel dagger hands. Price between 2.5 and 3.5. Not bad. I do love that dial aesthetic. I need to keep it going. Now look at this. Engine turned. What is with those batons? That's just, it's so strange seeing these older pieces overall. Look at it, 369 layout. Honeycomb dial, I think they would call it as well. Look how they did the Jubilees back in the day. Also, very flat link. Very, very flat link. 1952 reference 6107 with a black honeycomb, non-loom dial, no box papers from 1952, as you would probably expect. They just did things so differently back then. Do you notice that Rolex doesn't play with texture anymore with their models? Ever. Think about it. Does Rolex make a single model now, apart from the standard, the radial dials, the radial colors that actually have texture to them? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Linen dials, they don't exist anymore. None of them, right? Can someone help me out here? I don't think they do. Wouldn't it be good to see more texture on Rolex dials? They do play with colors, but that's it. Honeycomb was such a cool thing back in the day that they've cut away. The linen dial date justs and so many other references. Then you look at brands like Omega with the Aquaterras and the Seamasters and others. They do play with texture. Mother of pearl. Okay, Tal, is that a texture dial? Also, meteorite. Is that considered a texture, or is that considered more of a color thing? I don't know. Yeah, meteorite dial, as mentioned. Nice looking piece. Seamaster Explorer Hybrid. I like that point. Who mentioned that? Justin. Does look like it, hey, with those indices there. It's a really clean. The example is also just fantastic. It's in such good condition. Oyster Perpetual. I would imagine. Okay, it's automatic. I was going to say hand wound, but I got that up wrong. 369, and this one's excellent. It is. There's something about the rounded numerals on these pieces that just sings, and it's a pity that we lose them today. Everything's squared off, unfortunately. Rolex has turned very, very conservative for quite a lot of their models. They have. And look at this. Real deco styling. This is from 1953, dagger hands, Guilloche center. The reason why they're more conservative is because conservatism sells. Hell, that's like the best quote I could possibly put on the near 3 hour mark. I say conservatism sells. And I guess that's what works for the brands. As long as it's safe, it will sell. And that's what I believe is not. Please get an old Explorer, not a new one, Tao says. You know what? I'm going to follow through that one. I've explored the Explorer, the 39mm. It's not a watch for me, I'm afraid to tell you, everyone. But a 1016, maybe it will be 15, 12 grand, 20 grand, but I would wear the hell out of a 1016. So you never know, ladies and gents. That's just it. Everyone's talking about Milgauss's, and I don't know. Tag me in the chat again if you want to get my attention. I really suck. There's so much text going on here. I can't read anything. Talking about black, orange, NOS. Oh, the Milgauss, yeah. Modern Rolex styles have Rolex literally all over it. I mean, they do. They really do. I'm looking at the model now, the Explorer I'm wearing. It feels like Rolex, for sure. This doesn't look like a Rolex at all. Rolex Oyster. This is a hand wound. 1953. Look at it. It's so deco. It feels like a watch out of the 30s. Cool piece. Also, just enjoy the alpha hands, how they bent them around the dial. It's raining cats, dogs, cows outside at the moment, so if you can hear it through the microphone, apologize. Definitely a 1016 would be awesome, Thomas. Yeah, I mean, it's a dream, right? Absolute dream. I don't know how I would ever be able to get my hands on one, considering that I'm the one who hypes them up like so many others. It's like I'm the bane of my very watch collecting hobby. You know, all the watches that I love and I love talking about are the ones that are becoming more popular, and it's bad. You have to be very tight-lipped. So another fisherman's friend, I think, is needed. Thank God. I'm running out of the black currants. So good to know. Right, left-hand side, 1951, reference 6044 with coffin markers. That's cool. Between 800 and 1,200. Oyster Royal. Hell, this is a hand wound. Yeah, we really are scraping. Now we're really hitting the 19. These are all like 33 mils. Yeah. What are we looking at here? 1946. This is a bubble back by the looks of things. Shock resisting. These are all hand wound, like deco. It's serious deco revival in the 1950s. That doesn't work to me. That looks like golden retriever ears. You know how they flop over like that? That's funny. My hype on the SKX 013 Skyro Samurai. Jeez, you know, that's such a cool reference. It's so they have become very popular. That's a cool watch. I do dig the size, the smaller size. It just feels a bit more intact, you know. I'm not saying that what is going on here? I've broken the PDF. Okay. So now we get to the fine and rare stuff. Okay, I'm gonna take a hit from that. That was me being deliberate, but I'll do it anyway. Oh, geez. Okay. God, that's awful. Do not drink whiskey with blackcurrant fisherman's friend in your face. It tastes terrible. A railway Prince chronometer. These princes are popular. People like them. This lady's variant, though, cocktail bracelet from the 1930s. Whoa, the PDF is really glitching out on me now. It feels like it's telling me something. 1920s, yeah, fine rare platinum art deco. Vacheron, not for us really, right? Oh dear, I really have broken this PDF now. It's not scrolling for me anymore. Okay, nice Vacheron. We're definitely bringing up the final pieces in the selection. Raymond signing out. Yeah, I don't blame you, Raymond. It's so good. So good. Sorry, I'm missing you guys in the chat. Let's see what else is going on. Again, tag me if you want to get my attention. Yeah, it is pouring outside. I find quite a few older Rolexes have Longines look. That's a very good point. Was that from Carl? I think. Sorry, the chat is going ballistic here. Maybe that's why Rolex is not going down that path. It's so debatable. I feel like they've formed their own language now at this point where they don't need to innovate. They don't need to try and experiment with their ideas. They can keep it very staunch and the same. I mean, it's good. It's good that it's working for them. Conservatism sells. What are we looking at, Mark? I have no idea. The PDF even is protesting at this point. And Thomas Tao saying, I see your entire collection. Also, don't know your take on the watch aesthetics as much as IDGuy with his own channel. I said rare. Did I say rare? I think I did. Did I say rare out of context? No, I didn't. I hope not. So Vacheron, what do we have? 1930s, yeah, hands. Nice. You can't deny that Breguet hands and numerals just complete any watch out there, even if it is 22 millimeters in size. It looks good. Is this an estate auction, Neferion? That's a good point. Yes, probably. I mean, these are definitely past their sell-by date. 1960s gold Vacheron. Wait, hold on a second. We have one awesome piece coming up in a moment. You haven't. There's an El Primero coming up in a sec. One of the best. A blind estate auction. Yeah, that's wrong, Eric. It's good. I hope you can't hear the rain. I'm struggling to speak over it at the moment. It's my room is south facing, so I'm getting it right in the head. So this is a 1940s 18 karat gold Universal Genève tri-compacts. These are pretty popular. Hell of a cool watch. I mean, this is like, when you think of high horology, this is it. You've got a full calendar, moon phase, chronograph, stunning model. Don't leave yet, ladies and gents. We're getting to an awesome El Primero. Speaking about Moser in the chat, I can see Megan's going ballistic about it. We're going to have a look at a Fume dial El Primero vintage, and it looks beautiful. These tri-compacts are awesome watches. High horology, I mean, really. And they're sought after. People love them. Okay, thanks, Samurai. Good to know. It's hard. I've got one ear open, and the rain it's really sounds like artillery fire. Right, gonna move on. Beautiful piece, stunning reference. Is Hans leaving us? Hans, you can't leave us yet. You're going to enjoy the Zenith. I'll motor through these. I mean, a rare. Sorry about the flash. A rare gentleman stainless steel Universal Genève. I mean, 1936. What? This is a cool 1950s Excelsior Tropic dial. Not bad. Enicar, well, no, this is Eberhard and Company, Scaphograph from 1960s. This is cool. Lyre lugs between $3,000 and $4,000. This is basically just an Omega, right? You look at the way the case has been done and the bezel and everything else there. Also a really nice Zenith. I feel like the El Primero is coming up next. Sam Ray, can't wait for my McDonald's Milgas. That's such a good one. What was that? That's the one I'm going to be doing, right? It's going to be a McDonald's. I'm going to go to town with it. It's going to be so commercial. You're not even going to know what hit you. Okay. Where is this Alpha? There you are. 1971, A385 with Fume dial, original GF ladder bracelet. Jeepers, what is with that pricing? Between 4, 5, and 5. I think they are underplaying it quite severely here. This is pretty much the watch that ends off the show, I think. After this, we have like antiques, and I know all of you are interested in jade jewelry and all of that stuff. That comes up in a second. Yeah, scaphograph means counts the boats. Is that so, Eric? That is so cool. I did not know that. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Thomas Burnett, Goose, you know this better than most. Have they created a reissue of this? I think they have. I really do feel like they have created this. Marcello, just arriving. Holy, it's like 2 in the morning where you are at the moment. What the hell are you doing here? Yes, we're still having a good time. This is the best watch, the final watch of the show, actually. I would imagine you're working on a design project and you're listening to me in the background. Fully understandable. Hans, I hope you didn't miss this. Yeah, so this is not, so I thought it was an A384. They call it an A385, as in, because it has the Fume dial, I guess it's a little bit different. This ain't no reissue, though. This is the real McCoy. I love the Fume. I'm wondering if they have done a reissue of this dial variant in particular, though. Megan says, yes, they believe I have. I think so. There's so many of them now. There's the cover girl. There is the black, the full black on black variant. I think they've got a reverse panda. They've got so much. Sunray brushing. It is very nice. And of all of us here, I think Thomas Burnett, wingman, is one of the people who once won the most, I reckon. It's a charming watch, 37 mils, but it does wear bigger because of the case. The ladder bracelet's also appreciated. Not the best for tanning. Don't go outside with this. You would have can you imagine? I want someone to do it just for jokes. Just for jokes. Someone to actually go out with this bracelet and see how bad the tan line is. Can you imagine what it would look like? You'd swear you'd had chains around your wrist, right? It'd be so funny. I would do it on a dare. If I had this watch, I would totally do it just for shits and giggles. I can say shits and giggles now because we've been doing it for 3 hours and no one's watching, so all good. All right. No, they did the A384 not with this dial. Very interesting. Mark P, are you on a wait list for this piece? I don't know, guys. I'm missing you all in the chat. Carrying on next, and I think we're reaching now the jade jewelry and we got some bracelets. Stainless steel bracelets, if you're keen. They're up for auction. How do you auction off bracelets? All right. What? Okay. Unworn. Nice to know, but I mean, for auction, really, they should just put it up as a fixed price. Yes, I am not watching this, Mason. Good. At least you're hearing me. That's all that matters. My voice is what puts everyone to sleep at the end of the day. Unworn gold. I mean, really? You're putting up bracelets? How does this work, by the way? Can someone please tell me how this works? Because these watches, these are all linked to watches, no? Maybe someone knows better in the chats than me, but these were all linked to watches originally, so what happened to them? Surely these serials match the watches themselves. I don't know that much about references and everything in between. So yeah, we have some GMT, we have some Submariner bracelets, okay? And now we have, okay, let's enjoy an Atmos clock, I guess, from JLC. This is gorgeous. This looks like an Aventurine dial. Let's see, lapis lazuli, okay, really nice. These are such bargains, actually, for what you're getting. If you want something really stylish for your house, I think an Atmos clock is, especially from a brand like JLC. I mean, they are known for these clocks, right? Also love, lapis lazuli is stunning as a stone. Lots of them out there. I think Aventurine might be a bit nicer for offset, but yeah, man, it's gorgeous. Atmos, there's so many varieties and variances out there for you to look at, so highly recommended. If you have, I mean, the prices of these between 2.5, 3.5. People don't go for these anymore because it's old-fashioned in a way. Even though you look at this now, it feels as modern now as it always has, compared to the grandfather clocks of old and the standard. The Mark Newson, yes, I've seen his new design. Some very good stuff, Marcello. I should do a video on Atmos clocks. I think other channels have done better ones than me, but I'm by no means versed, but they are stylish, very nice. And what else do we have? Oh, geez. What is this? The Holy Grail. What is this? Okay, marble. Oh, no. Do you see what they describe? I'm not even going to add very lapis lazuli, solid silver gilt centerpiece. The Holy Grail, ladies and gents. I think we found it. Is that mistletoe? It looks like mistletoe. Okay, well, okay, that's nice. I'm gonna oh no, this is a polo comment. I mean, like, what is this doing on a watch auction? Looks like Rococo art. Very good point, Marcello. That's pretty much inspired, right? Equestrian 1980s aventurine quartz. That's very nice. They talk about the heights, polo mallets. I mean, this is like the modern day Greek vase. You know, instead of having heraldic stories, you now have polo players, and I mean, you've got the what do you call these things? Polo clubs, polo bats on the base. Oh, it's tacky. It's so tacky. Shall we open up a link to Antiques Roadshow next? Yeah, Mark. I mean, this is really bottom of the barrel now, but I mean, oh, how can you have this at the? I mean, that is just so. That's so 1980s, though, right? That's just it. Thank you, Eric. You always bring out the best in me, Eric. It's a pleasure. There's a bit more, I think. Let's just enjoy this. I mean, what? We've been running 3 hours. You might as well just listen to the commentary. And impressive. Okay, I like that word. That word's nice to use. My Grail watch for sure. Yeah. Mark, Antiques Roadshow. Oy. Okay, this is Victorian, I think. No, 1980s. God, they were so tacky back then. Malachite. Okay. You notice these griffins. That's very almost. It's so typical of Egyptian-inspired motifs, and I think there was a bit of an Egyptian resurgence in the 1980s, right? Marcello, maybe you can help me. I'm not versed in Rococo anymore. 73 Math asking. No, sadly, we've gone beyond that. We've now moved to antiques in this section. What else do we have? Oy. Okay, this is quite pretty actually. Amethyst, 1980s. I mean, this is a lot of work to put this kind of stuff together. What was that? Porcupine? What is that? Paradise bathing bowl. Bird of paradise? Really? Oh, ladies and gents, we've just moved on to another swinger's bowl for my keys. Thank you, Meg. I mean, this is it. This is an example, right? Oh no, what have we done? Travel clocks, Tao. We all love a good travel clock. It's a pity we don't have any to feature. Is that a stuffed bird? No, I don't know. Well, this looks, I don't know what this is. I thought it was porcupine quills. This is a very nicely done amethyst carving. That's very nice, actually, talking about the blossom, cherry blossom and everything. But that is just, do you put that on your head? What the hell is going on? Tuzu saying stepped away for a while. This is what happens. Yeah, I mean, this is the close of the shows. This is what happens in the end. Golf clubs. Oh no, what do we have now? Oh, we've really gone 1980s silver gilt diamond ruby set. This is all French, right? Very French inspired. Ashtray. This is the channel has now. I've decided the channel has now turned into antiques. That's what we're going to focus on. I'm sure there's an audience for it. Theo Fennel, sterling silver golf bag. What the hell? What is this doing on a watch auction? What is this doing on a, yeah, stop justifying. Okay, good. Now we can enjoy numbers. Poor fair. That's pretty good. So for all the listings, if you again look at the download link in the description, you can download this catalog and look at how they rate the condition of the watches. That's something. Condition reports. What I'm going to do is open up the thumbnails, show sidebar. Will that work? Yes. And let me just pull up something cool to talk over as I love and leave you all for the day, because it is morning for most of us in the Northern Hemisphere. What's good? What's been a good one? Actually, everyone in the chat, go for it. What is your favorite? And I'll pull up the most common answer. 1016 Tao says, Antique Guy, Sam Ray. You guys are lovely. Same age demographic. Danger Zone, Goose and Maverick. Is Thomas still with us? Have we lost Goose, or is he still here? 1016. Any more suggestions? Like some have been very good, others have been kind of lackluster. You know what? For a change, I think lot 90 is pretty nice. What is 125? I'll never be able to read the print. Navi Time 806. I kind of like this. This to me, as far as presentation goes, I think this is one of my favorites of the listing. 1017, 1018, 1019, silver golf bag. Yeah, we've really lost the plot, right? We're getting back to watches for a second, as I say. Cheers to all of you. What else is there? Sorry about the chair. I'm sure you heard that. 5500 was very nice. The Smiths. Copy that, Goose. This is going to be a running thing now. I love it. Please change your names to Goose and Maverick. Yeah, we've had a good time. We've had a really good time. I've enjoyed this. I have my vitality back. I feel a bit more alive, considering how I felt earlier today and yesterday. It's been a hell of a work week, gotta say. But it's been a lot of fun. I hope you've enjoyed it. And come next week, I think we will do Wrist Shot Week, but it needs to be special. It needs to be a video about the best watches you have in your collection. All of you who are joining, if you want to send in, my email is in the description. Send in the best watch that you have, your most coveted watch, whether it's the most expensive, whether it's the rarest, whether it's, the most, did I say expensive already? If it belongs to a grandparent or something special in that line. Because it's my birthday next weekend and I'm thinking of doing a show. I don't know. It might get very raucous. I might do the flip and zippo and pass out on IPA beers during the live show. I don't know. But it could be a lot of fun. Just instead of focusing on just any watch in general, keeping it in the realm of what is your most favorite watch that you own. Be a good way of wrapping up the year. Can you believe we've done 18 or 19 episodes of Wrist Shot Week? I don't know what a raqueta is, Harry, but sure thing, go for it. Can we have one? Can we have more than one? That's the thing. I want to try and avoid as many duplicates as possible, if possible, because the Dominoes was my favorite samurai, you guys. If I can avoid duplicates, that would be a bonus. It would speed up the process a bit, and I could probably get more submissions into the show. But yeah, I think that's been us. That's been the show. Just over 3 hours. How is it possible? I'm not even warmed up yet. What are we doing? It's been a great time. I hope you're all okay. Oh, Megan, that is heartbreak. You know what? Just because of that, I'm going to end the show early. That is heartbreaking. That kind of comment, that really does affect me. You need to go back to hospital after the stream. Hope for the good reasons, not for the bad reasons. That's so funny. That's great. I love it. You guys are amazing. I really, really hope you're all well. You're looking after Samurai. Of course, you can submit your watch. Whatever is precious to you, whatever the story. And Thomas and Mark, thank you for the super chats, really, guys. I look forward to Sunday. Sunday's show. It's going to be a lot of fun. But again, if you want to submit your watches, my email's in the description, and I'll be curating them over the course of next week. I'll see how I feel if I'm alive and conscious enough, but it'll be so good to have another Wrist Shot Week show, episode 18 or something daft. I don't know how I do it. What about Omega's serious QC problem? We need to chat about that, Davey. Good to know. Yeah, really, everyone who's been here, been an absolute joy. We've just gone over the 3-hour mark, and it's been a hell of a pleasure. My Protein, my sponsor is My Protein, Eric Bell. I need to be sure to cover that in future. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Look after yourselves. Have a superb Sunday. Catch the Flip and Zippo live show at 7 p.m. UK time. Judge that accordingly wherever you are in the world. It's always a good laugh. We're very satirical and sarcastic, and yeah, we just let comments fly, and it's a lot more fun. It's a lot less PG than here. I'm flying to Canada, someone says. Yeah. Anyway, look after yourselves. Thanks again for joining. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and I will see you in the next one. I think we will do a show next week. This was a blast. Cheers, everyone.